Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network for your transfer deadline day update. Loads of things going to be coming your way. We're going to have several guests coming on over the coming hours. 3 hours now until the end of the deadline day. And we do have a lot to get through, even though lots of fans are thinking that West Ham might not be doing any deals. But we will have to wait and see. There could be a couple of deals going out the way as well. I am going to be joined by several guests, but let's bring on Mr. Stato, Matt. And Matt, before we get started into it, you sent us some information. So I'm going to put it out like this, mate. As you can see it rolling along the bottom of the ticker tape. Give us an update, Matt.
It's just, you know what? Today for me, like I've been sat at work and I've been trying to just constantly update, and it's been depressing as it is. Like just nothing's happening. And you know what? I'd accepted nothing was happening. And I was like, you know what? If nothing happens, then whatever, fine. And then Jacob Steinberg, who I believe is the Guardian, and he's actually someone that's quite chummy, I believe, with David Sullivan. So generally his information's spot on. Hasn't said it's definitely happening, but said, you know, young left back Emmanuel Longjello, who's actually been having a really good stint in the Championship with Birmingham, could potentially be making his deal permanent tonight for £400,000, which is nothing. Like, it's just, as I said, like, it's already, the window's like, you know, already depressing enough when you look at the other teams around us doing business. And then... Yeah. Don't be wrong, we're not the worst team in the league. I think that at the moment that's still Everton, who I believe, I'm right in saying, haven't done any business yet.
Yeah.
And have had a terrible deadline day. They've basically been knocked back by every single person they wanted. But outside of that, we're not far behind them. And, you know, we done a bit of business, which was good business. We got in Danny Ings, which, you know, we sort of... It's one of them, you know, we seem to do business all the time with Villa. Like, you know, we seem to do transfer business between the two of us. It's sensible business, and we needed a centre forward, but some of the players you've seen going around today, and I just think, how have we not got any of it? You know, I mean, I know that there may be ill thoughts, but people like Moussa Dembele going from Lyon, potentially Southampton for £3 million. Look, I know there's maybe...
Well, I don't even know if that deal's potentially... I don't really know necessarily if that deal's going to happen now, because apparently, I mean, they're about to sign two strikers as it is, and one of them is not Dembele. The other one is Paul Iniachu, who we all knew from Genk. But carry on, Matt, because I think there's some news coming in. So give me 2 seconds, so you carry on.
Yeah, I was saying, you know, I was about to get on him as well. You know, they're saying about Dembele, they're saying about Onuachu. Everton are trying now to try and get Zanolo. Is it Zanolo as you pronounce it in? From Roma, who is basically had a fallout with Jose Mourinho, and Roma need to get rid of him for FFP. And he was going to go to Bournemouth about a week ago, fell through. West Ham were interested, Tottenham were interested, Everton were interested. Everton are now trying to push it through because, for what I read, he basically rung up Bournemouth this morning and was like, I know I didn't want to go to you a week ago, but I've got nowhere else to go. I'll come back to you. And they were like, well, no, we spent the money now. We can't do it. So Everton are trying to get him in. But,
well, before you carry on, mate, there's a little bit more breaking news. West Ham, but Arsenal have confirmed the £12 million deal for Jorginho, who joins from Chelsea for £12 million. Arsenal making big moves in this transfer window. Matt, we will be bringing to you some more West Ham stuff. We've got that coming up shortly. But
you know what? That's not a bad deal.
Yeah,
he might play the way that Arsenal want. He sort of fell out of it at Chelsea. He sort of tailed off at the end, but 12 million for him. He's got 6 months left, and it's like a 2.5-year contract.
Yeah,
that's not bad business.
No.
You know what? Frustrating for me is it looked like there's been business to do. Like, we always get told, oh, it's too difficult to do business. We always get told, don't we? Oh, it's difficult to do business in January. It's evidently not.
So I mean, there's a little bit more news that's came from West Ham today, and that is that apparently we're obviously in talks with a young player, 17-year-old Sean Moore. He plays in Northern Ireland for Cliftonville. He's a teenager, and we're looking to bring him to the club. 17-year-old, he'll go straight into the development squad if we do bring him in. Obviously, earlier on today, mate, what's your thoughts on the whole kind of Ashby saga heading out the door? Give me your thoughts.
Well, the more I read into it, the more I don't understand why people are upset. Like, evidently, his family are from up north. He's from up north. He has the same agent as Eddie Howe. And as Moyes said, he made his mind up 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? Moyes said this. And the thing is, people that will try and defend it, say this stuff before it come out, Moyes, quite shockingly, surprisingly, was rather open about it in the post-match press conference last night, and said, look, Newcastle coming through in the summer. We didn't want him to go. We offered him a new contract, and he told us no. He wanted to go to Newcastle. He had no interest in re-signing. And then they've tried to keep him 6 months to try and get him to negotiate, and he just keeps telling them no.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, it's 3 million quid with add-ons for a guy. Look, a kid that. But we both thought highly of him, and I did actually put a base tweet out saying that we haven't regretted one yet, but this could be the one we regret. Like, I think we've both agreed he looks exceedingly promising.
Yeah.
But for every time people do get upset, like, as I said, Longjello would annoy me as well, because it's actually a position we need.
Yeah.
Like, as we said,
and I think that's the argument.
That's
the argument, isn't it? That's where I think that's where my argument lies is when you have a need and you have a player that, when you look at how he's performing in the Championship, you think, well, sometimes you look to the Championship to find a player who's capable of making the step up.
Let's not forget, we got Creswell from the Championship. Like, Creswell's been a great servant. He served us many years. He's been here from the Championship. But, as we said from the game last night, we were having so much success down that left-hand side. Yeah. Emerson in the first half on his own was just bombing forward. And then when Benrahma come on, the link-up between him and Emerson for the time they were on the pitch together looked really promising. Clever interplay between the two, overlaps both ways. And then Creswell come on, and the whole thing just stopped. And it was basically playing like a flat back five. He just had no interest in. I don't want to say no interest. It doesn't have the pace, right? But we've seen that Longjello's been doing well in the Championship. Now, granted, it says he could go. I generally hope West Ham turn around and say, got no interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'd actually rather bring him back now. I'd rather bring him back now because we're short of centre-backs. We've seen that Creswell can play left side of a back three. Why not bring Longjello back and say to him, you're going to play left wing back? You've not got to worry as much. You've got time to build your confidence and play, but you're not. Your primary role isn't the left back, is it? It's the more attacking, but offering that support.
Yeah.
But it's just.
Do you think if there's any truth in the Longjello situation, do you think there's an element of him and players like him who are out on loan currently thinking, well, if they're going, I'm going to go, kind of thing, and then maybe look at the.
I don't want to say yes, but I said in the chat, I do worry. I think you said it the other, was maybe last week. Moyes has sat there, and when he come in the second time, what was he all banging on about? The red ball method, right?
Yeah.
And it's the red ball method, but we don't want to use our own players. Now, as I said, I don't mind it to the extent because most of the time, our players aren't good enough. And when they go out on loan, they go to League One and League Two, and it's like the standard's just not high enough. I mean, people talk about Josh Cullen, but he's now having a very good season at Burnley in the Championship, but he's 26. It's taken him 8 years to progress from what could have been a player to going out and spending a year in Belgium and then coming back with the same manager to then have a good season at Burnley. But you can see maybe there's some sort of player there. But this time you're talking about a player that's going in the Championship and has hit the ground running. And there really isn't much difference in the quality between the bottom third of the Premier League and the top half of the Championship. There's not a lot of difference. There really isn't.
Yeah.
You've seen sometimes that they say the Championship's harder than the Premier League. So when you've got a kid that's going there and is actually doing it, exceeding and playing well and getting good reviews, you like to think, is he going to get a shout out, get a pull in? And then you go, no, we're going to sell him. And then as always, it's always poor money. I'm just like, we've done exceedingly well to get 3 million for Ashby, but then does that show you that maybe Newcastle think he's going to be exceedingly better than that? Yeah. 400 grand for Longelo. For me, that's nothing. You might as well bring him back either now, if you can call him back, or bring him back next year and give him a go again in pre-season, because 400 grand, you'll still get that you'll get that in the summer anyway. You're better off keeping him the rest and seeing what comes back in.
There's quite a lot of people now reporting on the story about Longelo, so there's it's kind of growing arms and legs, and a few of the people I'm seeing are reputable reporters. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with the Longelo situation. So if you are just joining us, we're hearing through the grapevine that Longelo could be an option to make his loan deal permanent to Birmingham City. So if you are listening, then that is what the current situation is. If you are watching, let us know your thoughts on that. It's not ideal, obviously. But let us know what you think on what I have just said to you there about Longelo, Manny Longelo potentially being made a permanent deal to Birmingham. Matt, I'm going to come on to you in a second, and I want everyone else to come on to the kind of Conor Gallagher situation. Before I do that, I'm going to jump through some of the comments and see what everyone else is saying in the chat. Scott's in the house. I don't see us signing a senior squad player, but maybe one or two for the future. Can we hope for a right back? Quattro's in the house, and he says, what's up? Chris Locke is saying West Ham will not sign a new player. It's the same time as last time. We missed out on good players and we sell good players. Same old West Ham. Is it the same old West Ham, though? I mean, apart from injuries aside, right? You bring back Skamaka, you bring back Danny Ings.
I wouldn't say same old West Ham, because if you believe the rumours, like West Ham have been chucked players at left, right, and centre today. Like there's been plenty of players offered to the club, and it hasn't been the club saying no. It's Moyes.
Yeah,
Moyes is like, I'm happy with the club. I'm happy with the team.
Yeah.
And I suppose if you think about the fact that Danny Ings could be back next week. Apparently, supposedly Cornet's supposed to be back in training this week. Skamaka's only about 2 weeks away. Zuma's only 2 weeks away. Maybe Moyes is thinking, you know what? In a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to have three fit centre forwards. Maybe that and then Cornet's back. That potentially opens up. You still go with two centre forwards in Skamaka and Ings. That Antonio then becomes a rotation option for the wing and the centre forward position, as does Cornet. So maybe that's what he's going for, but it has bit us in the arse before. It done it last season. But Moyes doesn't seem bothered. It doesn't seem like, if you see the interview yesterday, he was just like, we're not trying to do anything. I'm never going to say no, but I don't expect anything to happen.
Yeah.
So from that, I'm like, all right, nothing's really going to happen. But we don't have. See, I've always said, right, and I said this at the start of the season, even now, when I'm like, I want Moyes to go, I don't think we have a bad squad. I just don't. Maybe Moyes has finally found a formation that works. Maybe we'll start picking up. And maybe Aguerd and Cornet and Emerson were more integral to this team than we ever realised. Like maybe, especially Aguerd, maybe he was, the linchpin, and that's why everything's falling apart. And now he's back, it's going to work. but we don't have a bad squad. So maybe Moyes is just thinking, you know what? Unless it's something exceptional, I don't think there's anything that can improve it. And, you know, some of the players that have gone today, like Onuachu, I'm not being funny. We said we played him last year in the Europa League and wasn't impressed in the slightest.
Well, no, do you know what? I've got to give you, your dues there. You see the link from Onuachu, and I've seen a couple of people, not a lot to be fair, but a lot of people kick in and go, "Oh, why are we not bringing him in from the club?" And well, you're right, mate. When we saw him last year, Moyes quite quickly moved in the press conference to say, "No, we've got no interest in him." And after the game, I thought, "Well, I'm quite glad, actually, quite glad." Hopefully, that doesn't come back and bite us in our arse when we play if he does sign for Southampton.
Yeah. And it probably will. It's the way things work. It probably only scored 2 goals in the rest of the season. They'll be both against West Ham.
Yeah.
But when we played them, like he wasn't particularly mobile. It literally was like playing Sunday League football.
Yeah.
You know, and it surprised me when I saw he was going to Southampton that he wasn't going maybe to Everton. But then I saw Everton did try and get him. He had no interest in going there.
Yeah.
You know, he is like a quintessential Sam Allardyce or maybe Sean Dyche. You know, he's the big man you knock it up to knock down for someone else.
Yep.
Which
you can see that
isn't
again,
the way
mate.
we play. Isn't the way we play. What would be the point in buying him for a West Ham? Like, we need someone in between that's more mobile, and he's not.
Well, before we move on, Matt, I mean, we've got a couple more hours to get through, so we don't need to worry about what we're going to be talking about because there's going to be plenty to talk about. It just might not be West Ham, but hopefully there's going to be a couple of ingoings, but we'll wait and see. I don't think it's not looking good, but there could be a couple of outgoings. So let's bring on the first guest of the evening. It's young Jakey boy from all the way over from West Ham Unofficial. How you doing, my man?
I'm not bad, boys. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. Well, you've probably seen the ticker tape going along the bottom there. It's gathering a bit of pace with regards to Longelo. Nothing's confirmed. Nothing's come out of the club yet. Sources close to the club haven't announced anything yet. It's just some reputable reporters are suggesting that this deal could go from a loan to a permanent in this window before the deadline closes today. If that were to happen, Jakey boy, what's your thoughts?
I think it's an interesting one because obviously there's been a lot of uproar and some people are happy and some people are not so happy about us letting go some of the youth players. Now, the one thing that baffles me a little bit about it is this is coming through very much late in the day, and Longelo's also actually playing at the moment in an FA Cup replay for Birmingham City against Blackburn. So, you know, I'm not sure whether he's starting or not, but I know Birmingham City are playing. So, you know, if he's playing, what are they going to just shout to him and come over and, you know, say sign on a permanent basis? So, you know, if they're not going to get talks going and not really, you know, get the word from him till after the game, then it's going to make things a very frantic hour and a half or so after that game finishes. I think I could see it happening. Will I be gutted a little bit? But, you know, I think with these youth players, we just got to, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We just got to move on and not really, not really take and read too much into it because, again, it's the same with the Ashby one. I'm a little bit disappointed, but the player wanted to leave. He's left. And if Birmingham City want him, I think we should just let him go for me.
I think that it's a difficult one, man. We everyone and anyone who's a West Ham fan right now is talking about our academy and if it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. And hopefully myself and Russ are going to be running a show over the next couple of days with a couple of interesting of maybe add a bit of value to that conversation. But what's interesting is, you know, when I think about the Ashby deal, I've been very vocal about it. You know, the boy was offered a contract. My frustrating side of it is the fact that, yeah, okay, I understand maybe there's no pathway, but what club in the Premier League currently has that pathway? When Russ comes onto the show, he's got a really interesting spreadsheet that he's looked at every single club with all their academy players. And unfortunately, we're in the Premier League and money's got in the way and it's really disappointing. And you know what? Like, people slag off old managers that used to manage Premier League, etc. But you've got Tony Pulis today talking about the disappointment in the youth players not being able to get a chance in the Premier League. But it's the Premier League, and unfortunately, that seems to be the way that all these people are moving forward. All right, cool. Cheers, Matt. So it is frustrating, but when you put Ashby into it, you know, yeah, I'm disappointed as well, Jake. I thought there could have been a great opportunity for us to do it. It's players like Ashby and players like Langelo I would be more annoyed about than I would be on Equas of the world. The Equas of the world don't necessarily bother me. I've stated that and I've been very clear about that. I don't think in regards to Equa, I think he doesn't owe West Ham anything. I think if Okaflex doesn't get a run of games or anything over the next 6 months, we'll be waving goodbye to him in the summer as well because of their age as well. Remember, they're 21. Like, I forgot that Ashby was 21.
Yeah.
And Alessi, he's the one Matt, I know you said earlier on, I think he's the one that's potentially got away from us. But equally, though, he was the wrong side of 20. The difference between who's gone off the radar, Jamal Baptiste, is he's still only 18. And we are looking at younger players now, aren't we, Jake? Go for it.
I think this is sort of when they get to 20 or 21, it's the pivotal part of their career. And just to sort of single out Ashby into that, we know we've offered him contracts and he's turned them down and he's wanted to go and he has gone. And is he going to get more game time up at Newcastle? He might get a little bit, but it's not going to be much more because I think they've got Mankilo there as well as obviously Kieran Trippier in the right back position as well. So he's not going to be getting bags and bags of game time, but we've just got to let the lad do what he wants to do. There was only 6 months left on his contract. We've got £3 million out of it, from the reports. So I don't think we can grumble too much in that sense. And if he wanted to go, you can't stop him with 6 months left on his contract. The West Ham couldn't have really done any more unless those contract offers were an insult against him. But we don't know that. So yeah, with youngsters, it's a difficult one.
And it is a difficult one. And I suppose the other way to look at it is, what warrants you getting a reasonable contract? What warrants a player walking out as a youth player with not much experience, walking into big money deal? When I watched this video today, I was extremely respectful of the West Ham situation. And I think, the difference, and Sonny Perkins, he obviously put out a little Instagram thing when he left the club, but you can't help but put the two equations down to the fact that maybe money has spoken. I can't see it being the fact that they've got a route to the first team because people are telling me, like, has Ashby got a pathway to the first team at Newcastle? Has Sonny Perkins got a pathway to the first team at Leeds, considering Leeds are signing players left, right, and centre right now?
Is more. I think Ashby's might be more direct than like Sonny Perkins. I think Ashby could potentially go in as a number 2, like behind Trippier. They could look him in to try and mould him from Trippier. But I said to you, the thing is, there's a lot that goes into it. Like, his family from up north, so he's moving nearer to his family. He has the same agent as Eddie Howe, so no doubt the agent's probably saying to him, look, and I know that tapping up isn't supposed to happen, but at the end of the day, the same agent, there's no way he's not going to talk to both parties. It's his own client, he can talk to him. Be like, hey, look, I spoke to Eddie. The rumour is it's like 40, 45 grand a week. I don't know. That's rumours from West Ham side, so that could be it could be like 20 grand a week. I don't know. But the rumour is he wanted first team wages. Well, the smallest first team wage really, I think, is Ben Johnson on like 20 grand a week. But then the average is, the next jump up is like 40 grand a week. So West Ham offered him like 5, 10. You're not getting more than like 5. You haven't played a first team game. So I'm not being funny in any way, shape or form, in any form of life. If today I'm sitting here earning X amount and someone says, I'm going to pay you 8 times more to come here instead, see you later. I'm off.
Do you know what this comes? But this kind of comes back
the thing is, he may not even succeed. He signed. I don't know how long his contract is.
They've said it's long term. They've said it is long term.
Yeah. 3, 4, 5 year contract.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what it is.
He might sign that on 45 grand a week, and then he might fail, might not succeed. Could have a career-threatening injury, never be the same. But Newcastle, people forget, Newcastle are now in a position where they can afford that. They can afford to gamble that. Like, 45 grand a week is probably now, especially if they get Champions League at the end of this season, the financial fair play limits that unlocks, that could probably be the bottom end of their wage budget, 45 grand a week. They're like, the guys that come in the backups, they'll be on that sort of money. Yeah. Can't begrudge him it. And like you said, 6 months left. It's 3 million and a sell-on clause, whereas they could have waited. Newcastle could have waited till the end of the season and got him for like $500,000 in tribunal.
And I think obviously that's the thing, though. Yeah. And it comes back to, like when I think about the Onana deal in the summer. Listen, there's no ifs or buts about it. And Anna looks like a quality player, but bringing Onana into West Ham would have absolutely changed the whole dynamics of the West Ham squad.
Yeah.
You know, he would have been the best paid player on top of, at the time, Yarmolenko, by about 50 or 60 grand. And he's got no Premier League experience, and he's by far not the best player if you think about Declan Rice's situation. Sorry, just a bit more news on something that Russ brought you this morning. I think Russ was slightly taking the mick about it, and that was regarding Andre Ayew, obviously formerly of West Ham.
I wish he was taking the mick, because I saw it last night and I thought there's no way at 33, having left Al Saad in Saudi Arabia, there is no way that he could be coming back to the Premier League.
To be fair as well,
But
to be fair as well, because I was live last night as well when I sort of saw it for the first time, and I was like, 33 years old, are you having a laugh? You know, and I haven't really heard anything of it since last night. So Anton, have you got an update for us?
Well, no, I do, yeah. So in theory, the link is true. There's no ifs or buts about it. That is true. He's a free agent, and he wants a move back to the Premier League. So his agent is offering back to
the Premier League,
and his agent is offering him. Yeah, his agent's offering him to clubs. Currently, he's been offered to Everton right now, as it stands. Before earlier on today, it's Everton and Nottingham Forest.
That's
I'm reading like it is properly going Everton.
Yeah. Well, the one thing to look at the Everton situation is that they've done no business this window, and they've put an offer in for Conor Gallagher that was declined from the player. So Dyche might be looking at the situation and going, because do you know what? If you can get a turn out of Andre Ayew, I'm not saying he needs to be the guy you need to bring in. You can get a turn out of him because he gave Ghana a turn at certain points in the World Cup.
What I would say is Everton struggle the same way we do, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of pace in their team. So at least at Ghana, he essentially played like a centre attacking mid, and he had pace around him. But every team can do that. You can afford to have the one old head sitting around, and you let the kids go and do the running. But you know what?
If you were to say that Andre Ayew's coming back, then the first thing that came into my head was Everton under Sean Dyche. I went, Everton will be where he's going.
But to sum it up, though, these people don't understand how, the more you look into this, even as a West Ham fan, you realise that you never know what's happening, you never know what's going on. So in the same minute, Miguel Delaney of The Independent is saying Everton are in advanced talks for Andre Ayew. And in the same minute, Joe Thomas, who is the Everton correspondent for the Liverpool Echo, is saying there is nothing in Andre Ayew going to Everton. So the exact same minute that's come out.
What I'm understanding is it's the agent. It's his agent that's offering him to clubs. So the agent has blatantly, but wait, the agent's blatantly gone to the mainstream media, and he's very clever, and he's built. Well, yeah, he's putting his client out there for anyone to grab onto. Someone will grab Ayew. Someone will grab him. It's just not going to be West Ham for anyone that's watching. So don't be worrying about that if you are worrying about it.
Well, actually, I do be worried because don't forget, he's a free agent.
But that's what I was going to say. You can sign him when you like.
Yeah, I think is it another 2 weeks or is it a couple of weeks? Isn't there extended?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but
normally you don't have. There is a cut off.
Yeah,
but you're going to throw him in like a week or two later.
You're going to throw him in the window though at this occasion, even though because situations happen, clubs pay sometimes over the odds and stuff. Yeah, it drums up that interest as well. Jakey boy, we've done a bit of business in the window, but are you happy or what? Like, where's your head at? I mean, it's tough to take away the current situation that's happening on the park, even though form's picked up, albeit through different competitions and potentially not in the Premier League. But where are you at with our business? And
No, we all knew that we weren't going to be, spreading the cash around that much this January, because Moyes even openly admitted that himself in press conferences leading up to the window, when he said, I wouldn't expect too much, but if we have a couple of injuries, then we might be forced into action. Obviously, we signed Louisiel, who we all knew about. The Danny Ings was a little bit, okay, because it was like the rumour was that one day and he was a West Ham player the next. And honestly, that sort of brought the morale up within the fan base. And then for him to get, injured 15 seconds from what we're hearing now into his West Ham debut is pretty much like West Ham and pretty much sums us up. So that was pretty deflating. On my show a little bit earlier on, we were talking about it, and the whole defensive situation, obviously letting Craig Dawson go, now leaves us with a conundrum where I don't think we can afford to be playing a back four, because I don't think we can afford to be playing Creswell anymore solely as a left back. A left centre back we may be able to get away with, but I just can't see us playing Creswell there at left back for any longer. And I don't think the left back position suited to Emerson. So which leaves as well, we've only got 2 fit centre backs at the moment as well, in Zuma, in Ogbonna and Agurd. So I think this is all the way, the way Moyes is setting up here by not signing at least one other defender. He's setting up to go out for the near future, playing a back 3/5, and until Zuma's back, putting a makeshift, maybe a Kero Johnson or Creswell in that sort of third centre back position, and then playing wing backs which favour Emerson, which I'm not against, but it's a risk not signing another defender, in my opinion.
It does seem to be investigating this world of the 3 centre backs and the 2 wing backs. Yeah. That came to all of our attention. We were obviously linked to Harry Maguire at some point, and for me, it was just trying to justify why would we bring him in. And one of the reasons I thought we would have looked at bringing him in, and it looks like he's absolutely staying at Manchester United, was down to the fact that he kind of plays better when he's in that wing back position. Anyway, listen, we do have our first special guest coming on, and we're delighted to bring on. Well, of course it is. We're all special guests, aren't we? Of course, and also it'd be nice to get a little bit of insight into the world of transfers as well from a person who was involved in being transferred. So without further ado, let's welcome Matt Jarvis. Matt, thank you very much for coming on, mate. How you doing?
Yes, good evening. Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming on. So interesting window for West Ham, but I would like to just ask you, Matt, what's it like being a player on a transfer deadline day?
Well, to be fair, we're pretty much exactly the same as what you'd be doing. We'd be sitting watching the Sky Sports News, sat on the sofa. And actually, for me, I've actually moved on transfer deadline day. Was when I actually left West Ham and went to Norwich, and it was literally the last sort of hour, I suppose. I was sat watching the telly like everyone else, and then I suddenly get a call to say, do I want to go to Norwich? And it was like all had to be done really, really quickly. It was, phone calls, quickly trying to find a fax machine back then, just trying to print stuff off. And funny enough, my printer wasn't working. I had to go around my next door neighbour to try and print something off. Just crazy times. I managed to get it done within like 10 minutes to go, and then you get the extra hour to finish off the paperwork. But crazy times, you're sitting, watching, looking and thinking, like what's going on today? And the next thing the phone rings, and that was me. I was moving. It was crazy, but it's exciting. Everyone loves transfer deadline day, don't they? It's especially if your club's in the mixer and looking like they're going to be getting something, but really you're thinking, why have we not done this 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, there definitely is that element. I mean, for you as a player though, like especially at the last minute, is that not like a big upheaval, or are you just thinking really solely about the football element and where your next step in your career is going to be? Especially, I mean, was it literally you had a few hours to make a decision and then bang, you're gone?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different factors that go into it. Some people might not be playing. Some, they want to leave. Others, they don't. Some, there's so many different scenarios. But for my own experience. I'd spoke to Slaven Bilic quite a few times, and we'd been in good conversation about what I was doing, because I've been involved in all the games, and so I sort of knew about it, but didn't have any concrete offer until right at the last knock-ins, and then it was sort of just not a decision there. Well, it was a decision there and then, but one of them that I had the thought before whether I was going to be trying to go out and play regular football or not. So it still was a quick decision, and that was it. You know, as soon as you made that decision, you go. I sort of had to pack up my car and go straight up to Norwich. So when my wife went to work in the morning to when she come back, I'd moved to Norfolk.
You had moved club. It's mad. It's absolutely mad.
It's crazy.
So Matt, you know, a big kind of topic around West Ham right now is all about the kind of youth players and players leaving the club to go on and kind of move their careers on a little bit. I mean, the fan base is really split. People want a pathway for young players, but equally, though, we're aware that we're in the Premier League. So coming from your point of view, I mean, what would you be advising young players? Do you see what West Ham are doing as the right thing, the wrong thing? Or are we, is it kind of dog eat dog at that level, at the youth level?
Yeah, look, everyone wants to have that pathway for the youth team to come through and then have one of your own, you know, getting in the first team. Of course you do. But when you're in the Premier League and you don't have time to settle into the team, you don't have that 10, 13, 14 games run in the team to sort of get yourself bedded into the squad. And it's really difficult. As a young player, you want to be playing games because that's how you learn, that's how you show what you can do, and that's how you improve. You've got to make mistakes and you've got to be able to play in these sort of games. So it's difficult. You've got to sort of get the balance right. You've got to give the young players the opportunities to play in the first team and give them that pathway. But at the same time, you know, if there's an opportunity for them to go out on loan and play games, that's probably the best scenario because you're giving them experience, be able to benefit you maybe the following, you know, few months or the next season. But if you feel that there probably isn't going to be a chance for them in the first team, then, you know, for the player, they need to go out and play games and benefit their career moving forward. But obviously you want to have that structure and that pathway to get from the youth team straight to the first team, because that's why you as a young player want to go to that club.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake, young Jake from another channel called West Ham Unofficial. You got any questions for Matt?
I think, Matt, it's just the whole sort of, you know, crazy time of deadline day, you know, just picking up with what Anton said a little bit earlier. Overall, with deadline day, is it just, you know, that snap decision, and did you sort of have any regrets when you made transfers and like had to make that decision on the spot on deadline day and move?
Look, a lot of the time it is that quick. You don't know anything about it. You can get that phone call and then you've got to make that decision, and you've got to make it there and then. And that's where you come down to decisions about your own personal, you know, your position, you know, your family, your playing, you know, wherever you're looking at going, where you're going to be playing, what type of football they're going to be bringing, are you going to be playing? You know, it's all got to benefit you at that point in time. With regards to myself, my move to Norwich was a loan with no view to permanent. So I was going there to play games to come back and play for West Ham. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but that was the whole plan, and that was the deal for me to go there. I wanted to go and play games to get back and play in the first team at West Ham.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy times, especially, you know, for us, we're not involved in it much, so we massively appreciate, Matt, when you give us a little bit of insight to the fact, let alone the fact that you were involved in a transfer deadline day as it is. And I know, obviously, you keep a keen eye on West Ham, and it's not been going so well this season. Things have picked up a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Have we got enough in our tank if we don't bring any more players in, Matt, to get the job done this season?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the squad's probably the best squad that we've had, I think, for a long, long time. Best transfer window in the summer. I think, you know, bringing in some top players. the problem is just been the blend and the formula and getting everyone into the David Moyes' best 11, and then everyone actually playing a good 7, 8 out of 10 every week, because it's been inconsistent. It's not been like the last couple of years where everyone's going to be playing 8 or 9 out of 10 each week, and the same, like similar formation, same sort of players. It's been a difficult season, but we've definitely got the players, definitely got the quality, and you can see from the last few results, confidence is starting to get back. Bowen scoring goals, Antonio scoring goals. I think it just breeds confidence, and you need that. And especially Bowen and Antonio, the two sort of attacking players that you need scoring goals for your team, and they need to be confident going into games, and you have that real determination and that real impact when you get the ball to take players on and to create opportunities to score goals, and then when you get that opportunity to score, to go and take it. And I think that's what we haven't done well this season, because effort and desire from everyone is always there.
Matt, I think, when we've brought in a few strikers that we have, and we've relied heavily over the last couple of seasons for Mickey Antonio, anyone in their right mind in any position that he's in is always going to have your kind of, not your neck up, but you're going to be looking over your shoulder thinking, oh, suddenly you don't need me as much anymore. But does that give players a boost? I mean, there's been lots of rumours about Antonio potentially heading out of the club. Moyes has been quick to squash them as quickly as you can. And over the last couple of games, Antonio's kind of been performing a little bit better than what he has been. Do you think that's been a mixture of his head's been down because he's been thinking West Ham don't rely on me anymore, or he's just a bit fed up? I mean, how do you react, Matt, when a player comes in and potentially is going to take over your position and you think, is this the end,
Yeah. Do you know what? When the transfer window's there and you're not going anywhere, and you start seeing people linked come into the club, you're hoping, you're like, for me, it'll be like, oh, I hope it's not another winger coming in. You just want to be able to be thinking, right, I'm playing well. But at the same time, for him and for everyone, competition is good for you. You need that, because you need that step up. You need to step up in training. You need to step up in games, because you need that. It doesn't want to be that, doesn't matter really what I do. We've only got one striker or one wide player. I'm going to play next week. It doesn't matter. You need that. I need to step up. I need to perform. And then if you're not doing it and someone else is on the bench and comes on and does it, you're then going to be sitting on the bench, and you're going to have to work harder in training and make sure that when you get that opportunity to get on the pitch, you perform. So it's good for everyone. Competition is so good, and it's so important in teams. But Antonio looks like he's turned a corner. He looks like, getting another goal is really important for him. But it's his whole round game that helps the team. His hold up play, his touches the other night in the cup game were phenomenal. Some of them, and what he does, he runs into the channel, holds the pitch up, he drags the team up the field. He's such a handful, and that's what he's been able to do the last few seasons for West Ham, because he's been Mr. Reliable. And he added goals to his game as well, which was crucial. So for him, competition is always good, but it is nice to know that you are sort of, I suppose, number one, and that you're going to be playing. But it's healthy competition that breeds that positivity and that squad that makes you drive on and do well, like we have done in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, this is to the Matt up the top here. Matt, you got any questions for Matt?
Should we just get to the elephant in the room? Is Moyes the problem? What do you think? Will Moyes?
He's got straight in there.
Yeah, I'm going to go in there, because this is dividing the fan base. Is Moyes the right manager? Will he turn this around?
Yeah, look, for me, what he's done since he's come back to the club has been fantastic. So for me, I feel like he's got a bit of time to, he made such a big transition in the summer by bringing in so many players that it's always going to take a little bit of time. And the players that we brought in were top players as well. So we've had injuries, we've had different things that hasn't helped. But ultimately, it's down to him to get that blend and that formation and the players that are playing for him in his style. So I feel that at the moment in time, yes, he is the right person. And you can see that everyone's still extremely hard for him and each other, and that team is huge. You don't have to always manage on your teammates to for each other, to anything that disagrees. I think you change it, and that's what West Ham has done. That's what happened last few seasons. So I'm sure that it will continue to pick up. And I think at the moment in time, yes, David Moyes is still the right person.
I think, Matt, for West Ham fans, it's just been a roller coaster not really necessarily a couple of seasons. Well, it has actually. It's always a roller coaster as a West Ham fan. We've seen, in my lifetime as a West Ham fan, positivity happen for 2 consecutive seasons, and then suddenly it's not been a great start. But for me, I've always wanted we needed to strengthen. We did strengthen, and I suppose we needed time transitioning. It's all I've been saying when I'm on the show, and that does take a bit of time. But what I've said is this isn't the end of the transition, because come the summer, we've got another 5+ players potentially out of contract and could be heading out the door, and we're due another transition as well. So, what's the kind of message to West Ham fans, Matt, that you would leave to West Ham fans for the rest of the season?
The expectation level is always going to be high, and that's fair. I think it needs to be, because you're expecting the players to perform, and that's what they have done the last few seasons. So this season, it just needs to turn the performances from last season into this season, and it starts by doing the hard graft and doing the defensive work and working as a team, and then confidence then comes forward. Bowen, you see scoring at home last week or the week before. You see that it's bounced into scoring again, and it's all about that confidence, and that just. It continues to grow, but you have to work hard, and that's the first and foremost. And then, Moyes, he does set his team up. Everyone knows their roles and responsibilities, and now it's just trying to get that message on to everyone, all of the new players, and it being consistent. Because I think, unfortunately, the team's changed so much this year, and it's not just the squad; it's every single game. There's different players, different formations, and that's hard as players to get that consistency, but there's no doubt in the squad. It's a really, really good squad, full internationals, and you're right. Unfortunately, there's going to be another transition in the summer. So it's about making sure that the players that are there at this moment in time do the job, and make sure that they're putting their stamp on it to make sure that they are there and playing next season, because the club's only going up. It's done so well the last few years that it is now in that bracket of trying to get into Europe every year. So, it has to be moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, Matt, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm going to give the final question over to young Jake just above me, and I'll take over. On you go, Jake.
Just in terms of West Ham and how you think we'll finish in the season, do you think we'll still be okay and try and get that top 10 finish, and just about obviously the FA Cup as well? We got through the other night. We've got Man United away in the next round, which is not favourable at all. Do you fancy your chances to try and get there and pick something up and hopefully have a top 10 finish?
Look, the cup is a one-off game. Anything can happen, and I've played at Old Trafford. It's it's magic to be able to go there and play in the cup. But had some good results there. Yes, West Ham hasn't had the last couple of seasons, but it's anyone's to go. And look at the performance that we've had in the last few games. Anything is possible. I really do think that we could go there and win. At the same time, top 10 finish. To be honest, I think everyone just wants to get out of the situation we're in as quickly as possible. And then if it's top 10, then that's brilliant. If it's not, it's just build again for next season to break that top 10 to get back into Europe. I think it's one of them transitional seasons that you sort of want to forget as quickly as possible and move on to next season to make sure we're back up in fighting for Europe places.
Matt, I've got one very quick question before you do go, because I do appreciate you taking the time to come on. And it's a good question from one of our viewers on here. On the whole, do Premier League footballers or footballers in general watch social media channels on a regular basis or at all?
I would say that in my time, I probably did a little bit. I think it's hard not to sometimes. Obviously, you try not to as much when you're not having you're having a bit of a bad run. But I think sometimes you look for that little reassurance, maybe, because you're put up on this pedestal, and you're getting shot at, or getting put at all the time. It's one of them. You're just trying to perform as best you possibly can for yourself, for your teammates, and for your club and your fans. So sometimes you do go searching, and you do have a little look. I'm sure there's a lot of players now that don't. And to be honest, I don't blame them. But
don't blame them, yeah.
I did have a little. I did have a little look. To be fair, when I was playing, because that's unfortunately you strive for success. You strive to be the best, and you try and perform as best you can, and then you get what you get.
Yeah. Well, if you can all see Matty's in his gym there training away, you never know, you might see something coming soon to you with me and DJ Russie B. But we'll keep that one under wraps, Matt.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll
right.
see. I've been working now.
Yeah. Thanks very much, mate. Thanks for your time. Take it easy, Matt.
No worries.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's always great to hear from obviously an ex-player. It's bloody brilliant, actually. What do you think of that, Matt? I don't know if Jake's gone. Maybe his thing's gone.
It's interesting, like you said, that they all just sit around. They're like deadline days, the same for them as it is for us. Like, you don't know. You just sitting on the sofa at home, and then you get the phone call like, "Oh, by the way, pack your bags." Like, I always think like, "Oh, they must know. They must know before." Like, surely they're not just sitting at home. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd think that even with deadline day, you'd like to think normally teams would have something, like they've spoken to someone, like a third party, like a couple of days before, like, "Oh, we might be looking at maybe making a move for your deadline day if everything falls into place." Not just Matt sitting at home on the sofa, and then he gets a phone call from Billy, like Slav, like, "Oh, by the way, you're off to Norwich. Pack your bags."
Yeah. Well, listen, Matt.
You think it's like that?
Matt, we've got another guest coming on. It's so good to hear from all different aspects of transfer deadline day. So it's time for us to hear from another aspect of transfer deadline day, and that's a good friend of the channel, Jonty Coleman from Football London. Jonty, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. But well, I don't know how we are actually, to be honest, Jonty. I don't know. We're all over the place, but that's what we West Ham fans all about, isn't it? So, it's an interesting month, really, isn't it? I mean, it's an interesting time following West Ham, but doing the job you do, Jonty, as well. It's an interesting month for you. We've seen one outgoing today so far in Ashby. What's your take on the Ashby situation?
It's an interesting one. It's tough to know. David Moyes got asked about it last night after the Derby game, and he basically said, from his point of view, Newcastle showed interest in the summer, and they didn't let him go because they wanted to keep him and try and convince him to stay long term. This window, Ashby's again made it very clear that he didn't want to stay at a club and wanted to pursue this Newcastle interest. I mean, considering the direction Newcastle are going in, you can't really blame him at the minute. So yeah, I get it. I feel like, perhaps, obviously, there's a few right backs ahead of him at the club, in Kufal and Johnson, and Kerr's obviously played there quite a bit as well this season. So, Ashby's probably seen that as probably more of a chance of senior football at Newcastle, because, I mean, I don't think there's too many backups behind Kieran Trippier, so that could be quite a nice little slot for him. But yeah, it's obviously, I only saw him a couple of times play, but he did show some promise when he did play. So I guess it's kind of a is it one they miss out on long term? And it's tough to know. You're not going to know about that in 6 months, a year. It's going to take a few years to work out whether it was the right call, or was this sort of a smart decision? His contract was up in the summer. He didn't want to stay, and obviously because of his age, he can't really sign away for another club. So they would have got a very small compensation fee, nowhere near the 3 million they got probably. So for a financial point of view, probably makes sense for West Ham to have cashed in when we did, but it'll be interesting to see whether it proved to be a smart decision or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, there's some other things gathering some pace over the last couple of hours, and that is on a kind of situation talking about Longello, Manny Longello, who's currently on loan at Birmingham, and starting to hear through the grapevine, report from yourself as well in Football London, that he could be made permanent for about 400 grand. I mean, is there anything you can tell us, or?
Barring what I've reported, not a lot really. I mean, it came out first in the Guardian, but I've checked that out myself, and it isn't a definite. It's very much gonna be. It could happen. It could not. What makes it perhaps a bit more confusing is the fact, well, not confusing but complicated, is that Birmingham are currently playing and Longello starts. So,
He's on the pitch,
I don't know if you bring him off in the game and go, "Come on, you got a deal to sign." So yeah, it's quite an interesting one.
Yeah.
It came out. The first reports came out around about kickoff. And Birmingham are currently playing Blackburn in an FA Cup replay. And I don't know. I never quite look. He started the game. I know that much.
He's on the pitch at the moment.
Is he still on the pitch? Yeah. He's still on the pitch. But it's just crazy. Like, if you think about it, that game, it doesn't finish till at least, 9:30, 9:45. You've basically got an hour to kind of sign a deal. So, yeah. I don't know what happens there.
It's a kind of interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting when something
it's a
like
weird
that
one.
comes out of it.
In terms of the deal itself, obviously we've seen. Obviously, I think probably Ashby and more so Pierre Ekwa being the more notable academy permanent exits this month. And I think you get to a point, both the player and the club, and you kind of think, right, am I going to, do I ride this out? Maybe a couple more loans or whatever, or is there a better option to go and play senior football? Look, Longello's been a regular for Birmingham this season, and he sort of lost his pace a little bit recently, but especially when he first arrived, he's playing week in, week out, and playing pretty well by all accounts as well. So from his perspective, he's probably seen it as, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like this setup. They're playing like they are tonight. They've mainly played with this wing-back system, and I think Longello kind of suits it. So yeah, it's always a bit of a grey area, really. The club, if they get an offer for a player and, they perhaps don't envisage or they can't guarantee his sort of career pathway, perhaps sometimes it is better to cash in. So, yeah, again, similar to what we've just been saying about Ashby, if it happens, it'll be an interesting one to see whether it proves to have been a smart call or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think most deals, Matt, we can probably say following West Ham over the years have been called correctly. I can't think of many off the top of my head that I could turn around and go to you, well, look at this player who's left the club from the youth days and gone on to set the world alight. So that's not necessarily actually happened at West Ham. I think the biggest frustration, John, to West Ham fans is that when there's an opening, if we go back to last year when we had a couple of centre-backs injured and we were playing Chelsea, Arsenal, and Alessi was kind of firing all cylinders in the development squad. He was the captain. He was the right side of 20. He had a bit of first team experience, and bang, he wasn't called upon. And that's the frustration for me. The frustration letting Ekwa go wasn't. I was very fortunate enough to watch a couple of the training sessions. I saw Ekwa at St Andrews a couple of times. Yeah, he was a big guy, big lad. I saw one of his training games during the World Cup break, and I thought he had a topsy-turvy game. Was it against Cambridge? I think he scored a goal. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I thought he had a topsy-turvy. I think some people thought his stats read well, but I didn't think he kind of dominated to the level I thought he would dominate. And I think when you bring a player in at that age for only a year ago, they don't really owe the club anything. So if they don't get a chance soon, they're going to be Oski. And it's the same vibe I feel about, I could be wrong here, but Okoflex. Like, if he doesn't get anything over the next 6 months, there's a strong possibility he'll be gone in the summer as well.
Yeah, no, funny you mentioned Ekwa. I was at that Cambridge game, actually, and I thought he did quite well. I mean, mainly the goal, did okay in midfield, but he took his goal really well, and he thought, oh, that's good to see. And I think about a week before he moves for the tour, and him going to Sunderland, that was meant. But then I went and covered the under-21s game last weekend, not Friday, just gone Friday before. They played Man United at home, and Ekwa started. And I thought, is he off to Sunderland then or not? Because it seemed like that was quite close to being done. And I think the Sun have reported that it was done. So it was a bit of a surprise to see him play. And he started in central midfield, and wow. I mean, it is under-21s football, so you've got to take that into consideration. But he ran the show in the first half. They're 2-0 up. He scored the first goal after a really good team move that he started, give and go with Mbama, and then scored. And then Ekwa again started to move, ran down the left, crossed in Mbama, lovely finish, 2-0. Ekwa comes off at half-time at 2-0 up, and game changes completely just like that. And Man United end up winning 3-2. And then think 2-3 days later, he joined Sunderland. So
Joined Sunderland,
yeah, interesting one on Equa. But yeah, it's a tough one. Again, Elise, I think I just started covering the club the week Elise left, actually, and went to the Ipswich. He played in the Ipswich friendly 3 days before he left for Sunderland. And I was a bit surprised by it, because I thought he looked really promising in that game. Again, it was the only time I watched him, so I can't really comment on before that, but I thought he looked quite promising. Especially with the issues they've had at centre back this season, perhaps, maybe it might have been beneficial to keep him around. I think, to be fair, at Sunderland, he's played a lot of left back rather than centre back. So I don't know whether that's part of it. But again, I think Sunderland and other teams, sort of in Championship, League One, whatever level it may be, they see these academy players that get to a certain period, as you mentioned with Equa, not the ones that are super young, but the ones that are sort of in between senior academy, like Ashby was, and you think, right, we can offer them a chance here. And, they are going to get more exposure to senior football. Even when we make changes or whatever, they will get more exposure and will quickly learn a lot about that player then. So, yeah, it's quite interesting, the academy. I actually asked David Moyes about Equa and Greenwich just after they got sold. And he said with Equa, he felt that he'd outgrown under 21s football. And from the brief evidence I saw, that was fair enough, I thought. And I think he's got quite a few goals this season in Premier League too. And I suppose for his sake, I think David Moyes' argument, and I sort of get it, but it doesn't really benefit the club. But his argument was, we want to be able to help these players have a career. And if we see an opportunity that we get a player a career, then, so from sort of trying to find the right word here, but from like a pastoral care kind of, maybe that's kind of what I'm going with. Yeah. But, the fact that, they see a lot of these players and they want them to do well, whether that is with West Ham or in the lower leagues. He even said the same with Greenwich. I don't think they envisaged him going, but I think it was just a really good opportunity for him to go to Colchester and get minutes there. And so, I think there's that element to it as well. I think it had been reported as well that there's potentially a buyback and a sell-on clause. So, it could actually benefit West Ham long-term without him actually playing for the club. So, pretty up in the air with the academy at a minute. And, yeah, it
really is. And it's very topical with the West Ham fan base as well. Another story that's coming out today is that West Ham are working on a deal to bring the Northern Ireland's Cliftonville teenager Sean Moore to the club, 17-year-old right wing back. If he was to come to the club, he'd go into the academy. What is there anything you can tell us with regards to that?
Yeah, so from what I've heard on that one, I think it's been linked with a lot of Premier League clubs. Obviously, a report came out today, but I think it's more realistic that one happens in the summer if it happens. Obviously, it's quite a quick turnaround. But West Ham have got a history in recent years. It's kind of gone unnoticed that they've bought a few players from Northern Irish football. Obviously it's a league where if you're quite good at a young age, you will be playing first team football at 15, 16. And West Ham are seeing that's an opportunity. They've got Callum Marshall, Michael Forbes, Patrick Kelly. I think there's one or two others as well that have all come out of Northern Irish football in the past couple of years. And by and large, I think they're on good progression. Callum Marshall recently signed his first professional contract at the club. So, I think, one thing that David Moyes has stressed a few times this year is that one of their sort of next areas of improvement is academy. And they feel like they're trying to bolster their youth recruitment and get more players in at a younger age and try and strengthen the academy as a whole. And, I think it was being reported at £250,000. But if you think about it, he's a Northern Ireland under 18s international. He's already got, I think, 26 senior appearances for the first team. I think he scored for them on Friday, started their last 9 league games at 17. So, it's all very impressive. It's all decent senior experience. And I think for £250,000, as far as a club like West Ham are concerned, it's worth it. It's not an awful lot of money for a Premier League club to pick up a player at that age who's got, and you don't get many 17-year-olds who've played that many senior games. Okay, it is Northern Ireland Premiership and not the Premiership, but, the fact you can get senior experience at that young age is only going to be of a benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got another question for you, but before I do, I'm going to bring on, everyone knows who I'm going to bring on here, DJ Russie B into the house.
Sorry.
He's
Russie.
a million miles away there.
Sorry, a million miles. Just preparing for my gym session with Matt Jarvis.
He's asking you.
Yeah, I alluded to it.
Oh, did you?
So I brought you on, Russ, because I'm going to ask Jonty another question. Jonty, you know, in the famous words of our late great owner, do West Ham fans go to bed or not?
I think, well, it depends how much you care about exits, really. But largely, I think yes. David Moyes, however, was keen to say, you know, don't rule anything out. But I think he was kind of saying that to, you know, keep everyone a bit in suspense. But I don't think anything happens now. You know, I think the one we were all expecting was if we were going to make a move, it would have been for a centre back in on loan. There's been no talk of that whatsoever all day. And if it hasn't happened now, surely it's not going to happen with less than 2 hours to go. I think I might be one or two exits. Obviously, Longelo was mentioned, you know, maybe another player leaves on loan or something. I don't know. But, you know, Longelo exit seems like the most likely thing to happen tonight. Barring that, pretty quiet at the minute.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hand over to Russ and Matt because I need to go and plug my Wi-Fi in. So I'll be back.
Professional as always.
So professional. He's
It's just dumped everyone. You say, here you go, Rush. You can come and take over. Off you go.
I've just turned up. Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny. I was talking to someone today, and it just going back to the summer, and obviously we had the whole transfer with Dawson to Wolves and Ashby to Newcastle. Obviously, they've got their wish now, but obviously the main thing was they both got pulled because we couldn't get a replacement in. Now they've got their wish. We haven't got the replacement in. No. That's what I'm saying. We're in a worse position now.
That was the thing that really confused me. The Ashby one, not so, because you've still got Soufal, Ben Johnson, Tilo Kira if you need it. But it was the centre back, like we saw last night. Was it Lang? Lang was on the bench as the only recognised centre back because our starting three centre backs all started. We didn't bring anyone in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like because everyone's like, "Oh, it's okay. We're letting Ashby go. Oh, it's fine because we got replacement lined up." And it's like, guys, it's like no, we haven't. Oh, we'll see what happens. Now, John, you got to go. You probably got to go and have your dinner, don't you?
Yeah. Well, no, I've had dinner, but I just I best probably on standby.
You best do your work. Exactly.
Yeah, I better do my actual job.
Got another article to write.
Well, if anything happens, you know where we are. You can jump back on. We're going to be here to the bitter end anyway. Go on, mate. I'll let you go. Take care, Johnson.
Well, thanks for having me on. And sorry I can't bring more exciting news on this one day, but it's not like nothing's happening, but it may as well be.
Might as well, innit? It may as well. May as well. All right, take care, man.
Nice one. Cheers, gents.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, John T. Good old John T. I love John G. Fair play to John T.
Another friend of the channel.
Friend of the channel.
On Twitter, Roche Thomas.
Yeah. What's he said?
Has said that Longelo's move to Birmingham City is close to being finalised.
Oh my God, there's going to be
fee is 500,000 plus add-ons, long-term contract, another youngster out the door.
It's going to be a meltdown in there. That's a meltdown. Although I do have,
we were talking about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
And I said the Ashby one I understood, right?
Yep.
Especially the more you looked into it, because like I said to Anton, right, his family's from up north.
Yep.
He's got the same agent as Eddie Howe. So, you know, he wanted first team wages. West Ham wouldn't do it. Newcastle are the richest club on the planet. So 40, 45, whatever. It's apparently, I said it could be less. It could be just West Ham tilted in. It's more, it might be 20 grand a week. It's probably still like 4 times more than we offered.
It's more than than our wage structure for a young player.
Yeah. Right. So on that sense, you understand it. And like I said, he's never played a Premier League game. He looked impressive in stints.
Yeah.
In lesser competition in like Europa League and the early rounds of the Carabao Cup when we were playing League 1 and League 2 teams.
Yeah.
We are yet to regret letting a youth player go.
Yeah, totally.
You know, everyone ate their words on Grady Diangana, which I was gutted about.
Yeah.
And Gakia sort of played the same ploy.
Didn't really work
as
for him
Ashby
either,
has,
did it? Yeah.
And he hasn't done anything. But this one, actually, you know what? This one, the Longelo one, if he goes tonight, will upset me more than Ashby. Right? Because, as we were saying, right, he hasn't gone to League 1 or League 2 on loan. He's gone to the Championship.
Yeah.
It is the hardest league to play in, right? The
Yeah.
difference between the top end of the Championship and the bottom end of the Premier League isn't far at all, right? I guarantee you, if we went a month back, when before West Ham had this little bit of sort of good form, if you took West Ham, Southampton, and Everton and put them against, what is it, Burnley, Sheffield United, maybe Watford a third, they were up there. The games would not be like 3-4, 5-0 games. They would be exceedingly close games, right? So he's playing a good standard of football. He's actually playing well. He's in form. He's been doing really well. He's been getting good reviews. And it's a position we need.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather West Ham paid Birmingham 500,000 to bring him back to help cover the defence.
Well, you think
we
now
haven't got any centre backs, right? And we're playing
No.
this back five. Creswell's shown he can play the left side of a back three, right?
Yeah.
So pay Birmingham $500,000 because the Championship the window don't shut for the Championship. They think they get another week or something, don't they? Right? Bring him back, and then have him as the backup cover for the left wing back.
That's what I don't get. You know, because we've got this back. Although, funny enough, I was reading comments by Moisey. Talking about Aged, and he says whether he's actually seems to want to go back to back four with Aged eventually when everyone's fit. And
he works better in a back four.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's like, well,
he might do.
We haven't got a left back.
You know what? He might do, but it actually. Like we said, for the Everton game, I said it for the Everton game, and it stood out as well against in the Derby game last night. Regardless of the opposition, the actual tactics and the formation, we saw when we tried to play the back five against Brentford, and we had Creswell as the left wing, left of the back three, and Ogbonna in the middle of the back three, it did not work because the two of them were so slow.
Yeah,
they just like one ball over the top went right. But Aguerd playing that left hand side of the back three with Ogbonna in the middle. Emerson could bomb forward quite often because if the ball went in behind him, you had a pacey centre back to sweep up and cover.
Yeah.
So
You're
at the
right,
moment,
man.
it does benefit us. But yeah, ideally you'd like to play a back four.
Yeah.
But Moyes is allergic to buying left backs.
And the long Jello thing, you're totally right, because Cresswell came on and played like left wing back for the last whatever it was, 15 minutes.
He didn't play left wing back, did he? He played left back of a back five.
He sort of
played left wing back.
Yeah, he sort of tottled up.
Let's get this right. He didn't even play left wing back. He played left back of a back five.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how long it was. He did, right? I don't know. We got 10, 15
Do you know what, though? I think we went
to
be honest, at the end, I think we went to a back four. And I think it was Johnson was playing left wing.
When I say right wing five, right? It was literally like you had your back three that were already there. Yeah. Creswell was literally playing left back alongside the back three to make it a back four. And it was like you know, Football Manager, where you just make formations up. You can play players we want, right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, we got the back three, then we got the left back, but no, Johnson's still playing right wing back. You know, you've heavily left it to one side, and we're just gonna he can't get forward, he's gonna sit back. But for them 10, 15 minutes you had Ben Rama on the pitch with Emerson. The link-up was really good.
Really good.
And, Ben Rama and Emerson were both overlapping each other. Like, they both trusted each other's pace and ability to go, we can overlap, push forward, cover each other. As soon as Creswell come on the pitch, Ben Rama was like, I ain't passing this forward anymore, am I? Like, what's the point?
John.
I think Aguerd got further up the pitch than...
He did. He broke forward a little bit, didn't we? Who have we bought then? No one. Get your ass down to Rush Green. Players incoming. Yeah, I'm not doing that again last year. It was bloody cold last year. Do you remember I did that? And all I reported on was the number 294 bus. That was it. I'm hoping this kid is the next Keith Rowland. Yes! The next Keith Rowland.
As I said to Anton, it could be worse. We could be Everton.
Yeah, they are. Obviously, I follow Toffee TV, and they are in meltdown. They've got 45 million quid to spend, and they got no one to buy. And if they end up with Andre Ayew,
I follow a couple of Everton social media accounts. Guys, generally like Everton.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
obviously, outside of us competing in a relegation battle, I tend to think we're quite similar clubs. And I tell you what, as bad as we think we've had it, I would be like. There's actually pictures, if you go on Twitter, of banners outside their training ground tonight with like the board of just like lying.
Jesus Christ.
News: Elanga is staying at Manchester United.
Thanks.
Elanga is
Shall
staying
I
at
add
Gave me
Manchester
an heart
United.
attack for that. You gave me an heart attack for that.
Shall I add him to the list of players that aren't going to Everton?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
he was on the list.
He was on the list.
Andre Ayew apparently not going.
Yeah,
Right.
but he can obviously sign tomorrow. He's a free transfer.
Zanolo, they were trying to get. He's not interested. Right. Beto, centre forward for Udinese. Not
We were linked
interested.
to him. We were linked to him as well. But
Ndai, the centre forward at Sheffield United. That's 5 already, and I've only scrolled back 3 hours. Right.
Oh, it's
to
crazy,
deadline
isn't
day. They were in for Onuachu.
Yeah.
Who's going to Southampton? There's a winger that's going to Southampton from Rennes.
yeah, but
they were in for him.
That's their top signing. That's like 22 million quid in it.
Everton matched the bid for him. That's 7 players, right? Conor Gallagher turned around yesterday and said, I ain't going there.
I ain't
So
going there.
that's 8 players. Yeah, he was like, no, you ain't in Europe. I ain't going there. At the moment,
Oh, I love it.
I think they're trying to sign. They're possibly signing Lucas Jow from Reading,
Yeah, and also they're looking
who
at
scored like
what's
4
his name.
goals all season in the Championship.
But they're looking at Victor, what's his name, from Coventry as well. Victor.
Oh yeah, he's not going. He's already
No.
on the list of no's.
Yeah.
But I think I'm nearly hit
Yeah, look at him as
double
well.
digits today. I think I've nearly hit double digits of players that have turned Everton down just today, right? And they promised Sean Dyche when he signed 3 days ago. Oh, he signed 4 days ago. They announced it yesterday, but they've promised him 4 signings, including a new winger and a centre forward. And they can maybe give him Andre Ayew. Maybe. I mean,
But more
they even
importantly,
tried to jump in for Moussa Dembele. That's enough. Well, that's 11.
They did. Yeah.
That's 11 signings today.
But on this day in 1996, Darney joined West Ham. There we go.
That's all you need
Don't
to know.
forget that. Don't forget
Well, more
that.
importantly, on this day, is it 5 years ago? Jordan Hugill signed.
Yes, he did. He never walked out to those bubbles.
Never got
He
to
never
the
got
bubbles.
I just want to walk out.
Walk out with all the bubbles.
I'm just looking forward to walking out with the bubbles. Yeah, poor George. Even when Norwich, we played Norwich, he wasn't in the squad. He'd been moved, didn't he?
He
Went out
signed
on
for
loan.
someone the other day. I swear I see you.
Rotherham with
Come on,
Rotherham
you
with,
Ryan.
We've caught Rotherham with what's his face? With Conor Coventry.
Conor Coventry, yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. What was I going to say? I was going to say something really interesting. So we might sign someone by transfer window. We might do, apparently.
Oh, Sean something.
No. I'm not talking. No. Not going to the monkey. I'm going to the organ grinder. So I just said, do we go to bed long to this person? Think so, mate. Unless you're interested in a Northern Ireland youngster. There we go.
Yeah, that is it. That's what I mean. It's
That's what it is.
it's Sean Morris or something.
Yeah, this Sean Morris guy we've been talking about. That's yeah. So that looks like if anything's going to happen, it's going to be him. But also, Kenny Brown is been set to be announced as the full-time academy manager.
There's something going on, but you know what? It's one of them where I don't know. We don't need to do as much. Like, do we need the?
I'll come on and join you.
Do we
'cause
need
I
all the
think
signings?
I think Russ has gone a bit. Look at him. He's stuck.
Yeah. Looks like
I'm back.
stroke.
I'm back.
He's
Sorry,
back now. He's
I'm back.
Russ, did you roll out your Wi-Fi lead? Your internet
Do you know what?
internet
Like,
cable.
yeah, it's like I'm sort of slagging you off. Yeah. That's well weird.
And then you do the same.
I think, yeah, that's really weird.
Not anymore, though. Not
Back up-
anymore. Look
back
at the
up
bad
the-
boy. Look
back
at the
up the-
15
Oh, it's
meter
got it
bad
out.
boy.
I've got a 50-meter bad boy, so there we go.
Hello, mate. Hello. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
I just pay for decent internet, so I don't need to worry about plugging it in. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Well, I've got 70 megabits more right now.
Listen,
Russ-
there is a
like
player.
192. It's
Well,
fine.
that's 'cause I can't get a good one like you yet. They won't let me have it.
There's a player I want to talk about, and it's Conor Gallagher. Apparently, the rumor is he's going to be staying at Chelsea.
It's not a rumour then, is it?
Nah, it's not. I mean, listen, I messaged you, Russ, last night. I done a show yesterday. There's no ITK-ness about it. It's just sitting there going, he's not going to go to Everton.
Oh, let's give away some stuff.
Well,
So if you want to know the story, if you believe the Twitter sphere, is that Chelsea have still got this. Is it Endo Fernandez
Yeah, Endo Fernandez.
coming in? They need space in the squad, so they needed to oust someone to bring him in. And Gallagher hasn't exactly featured well. So Chelsea were prepared to let Gallagher go out on loan to the right club or sell him to the right club to make way for Fernandes. Newcastle wanted to loan him and they were like, you're in the Champions League spot. You're not getting him on loan. You can pay 45 million for him. Everton said, I will have him on loan. And Gallagher literally laughed and was like, no, not going there. Said he wanted European football. But then since then, Jorginho has gone to Arsenal. So they now longer don't need to get rid of him. So it's literally like as soon as that went, they were like, he's not going anywhere now.
Are you ready for this? From all of theirs, how many signings have they made in this window?
Oh, it's got to be up to like 10. It's got to be, surely.
They can only include 3 more of those signings in the Champions League squad.
Yeah, unless people miss out. Oh, yeah, people are going to miss out.
Yeah, but would have what's his face? Midrick would have played, I'd imagine, for.
Dinamo.
Would he have played for Dinamo? Would he have played? No, would he have played for them already?
You can. I think you can.
Is it Shakhtar?
Anyway,
He was at Shakhtar Donetsk, wasn't he? Have they played in the Champions League? I think. I don't know.
They've only got 3 more places left. You're only allowed to register 3 new players. That's it. You're only allowed to register 3 new players. So from their upwards of 10 new signings, potential to 10 new signings, they can only choose 3. And that's not a case of letting one sit out who's currently in the squad. You're only allowed to register 3 new players into that. So that'll be an interesting one. But when it comes to Conor Gallagher, if he's available, if he was available, would he be a player that we should look at on loan? Would he fit into the system? Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Right, let's give some people some prizes. A lot of people been here watching. Let's give. So what we'll do is we'll do 1 members draw, and then we'll do 1. We'll try that thing again with if you do the hashtaggy thing. Yeah, we'll try that. So right, if you want to win, right, so we'll give away. We're going to do the members draw for a Tony Cottee signed notebook. We'll do that. We'll do that for members
another draw, and I'm going to go and get. Oh, actually, hold on a minute. I'll do it now. I've got it here.
What you got?
What's he doing?
What you got?
What's he doing?
Oh God, I don't know what he's doing.
I've got a Joe Hart signed glove. Does anyone want that? Not even joking.
I got an Ian Bishop signed. Look, he got a nice signature. He got a nice autograph. Ian Bishop signed. And he got Joe. Oh, very Joe Hart signed glove. Very good. Right.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold your horses. Hold your horses, mate.
He's had a little 5-minute walk down the road to Ibrox and got Joe Hart to sign some stuff for him.
Yeah.
Right. I'll let you choose. No. I think we need to do this one. We need to do this one.
Or this one's good. This one's
That's my one, isn't it, Ross? That's my one.
No, you haven't won this one. That's the one I got. Me and Matt got signed. That's good days. Mark Noble. God, that's a young picture, isn't it?
Well, that's a young Mark Noble.
Very young Mark Noble.
Should we give this one away as well?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? We'll do a couple for the members. Members already get entered into the draw, so we haven't done the January draw this year, so this month. So we'll do the January draw now for that, and then we'll do the February one tomorrow probably. Right. Let me right. We'll do it, and then we'll do the others.
I would just say no thanks on the glove.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We'll do this one quickly, and then we'll do the hashtaggy thing in a minute. We'll do that in a tick. Let's do this one. Let me share my screen. So as the channel members get automatically entered in. So let's give that. They get it automatically. So they'll get, this will be for the Tony Cottee signed notebook. How exciting. Signed by TC himself. Designed by DJ Russie B in 1980, Boys of 86 signed. Available on Amazon. And all. And the winner of
the West Ham Network. Used to be designed by West Ham Network.
The West Ham Network. Yeah. And the winner is, would it be Peter Jones? Would it be Kit? Or would it be Luke Legend? Let's go full screen.
Oh, Lucky Legend!
Oh.
Was he Rich?
Would it be Rich?
Why is it so slow bloody?
I don't know.
Rich, mush, please. Let me take that off. Rich, well done. Congrats. If you've won, if you're watching, well done. And don't forget to email us at the West Ham Network at gmail.com, and we will get that sent out to you. Yeah,
will.
right. Okay. Then the next one is I've got to find where that thing is. Where is that? I've got to do that thing. You carry while I set it
Got
up.
to find the thing. It's got to find the thing. So yeah, and I don't know if you missed it while we were talking about Roshane Thomas.
Sorry, I did see it, but very quickly, Dan, we are running the stream off the nearest potato tonight, lads. Yes, it seems to be that both mine and Russ's internet are absolutely diabolical.
Yeah. Don't put me in that bracket.
Russ is staring at me, but look, he's frozen.
Because that's got 190.
He's frozen again.
Yeah. I'm not running on poor internet just because these two are.
Oh, gosh. I think it's the computer, though. This is why we need
Matt
Dan
should
involved.
just do
Oh, yeah, it's the computer, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the computer.
Blame the computer.
Definitely.
Marcel Sabitzer is on his way to Manchester United. He's arrived at to do his
good player.
His medical.
Oh, yeah. I can add another name to that list
player.
of people that turned down Everton today, Ross. Name from the past,
that?
Michy Batshuayi.
Yeah.
He's even
Batshuayi,
turned
God
Everton
bless
down
him.
today. He was like, Everton asked about on him, and he was like, "No, I'm happy in Turkey." Like,
I'm happy in Turkey. Right, if you wanna win, people watching the chat now, if you wanna win the Ian Bishop signed notebook, and then we'll do the glove and stuff as well in a bit.
We're not getting rid of the glove.
No, we're getting rid of the glove. Okay, we're not getting rid of the glove. Okay, the Ian Bishop signed notebook. Put in the chat. Just copy that hashtag West Ham Network. Just put that in the chat, and in about 5 or so minutes, we'll draw that, and we'll give that to someone as well. Why not?
Shit, what?
Why not?
Russ, Matt, we haven't done this though. If you are watching and you have not subscribed, there's a few reasons.
I actually did that. So
yeah, but I'm going to go in depth about it a little bit now because we've got a little minute here, so we're going to go in a little depth. If you haven't subscribed and you try and click subscribe, and it doesn't subscribe, it's because you're not logged in. So you first and foremost need to log in to YouTube. Once you've logged into YouTube and you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button. Then there's a bell notification, and alongside that bell notification, when you press it, it gives you 4 options. Click the option that says all, and that will notify you when all our shows go live. And if you don't want to know when all our shows go live, and some of them go live, then you can filter that and choose it. Let's go from there. So that's what you need to do.
And make sure you hit the West Ham as well. What are you doing?
Trying to take it off.
oh, what's he doing?
Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification, because we've got some really good ex-Hammers coming up very, very soon. We've got some really random ex-Hammer interviews coming up soon as well. So make sure you check that out. And there could be some fun stuff. What?
You tune in and you get Matt Jarvis. Just
tune
randomly.
in, you get Matt Jarvis, John T. Coleman. You're going to get someone at 10:30. Apparently, he's coming on at 10:30. Don't know why 10:30, but they're coming on at 10:30.
Is that when he gets off the pitch from Birmingham?
Yeah, Long Jello, live on the West Ham Network. So yeah, it's going to be fun. Right, okay, let's start collecting. Right, I'm gonna draw this. Right.
Oh, look at Ez! Oh, look
God.
at Ez before you do the draw.
I've already done it. I've already pressed it. Oh, he's turned up. Right. Don't matter. And the winner is...
Go do the draw. All right, go do the draw. Go on.
No, I'll draw it. Okay. What is it?
Professional as always.
Yep. The winner is Trini Hammer. Trini Hammer has won. Congratulations, Trini Hammer. Well done. And I'll just prove that because people go, "Oh, you haven't." There it is. Trini Hammer. Well done. Congratulations. You've won it, Trini Hammer. Well done. So let us know, West Ham Network at gmail.com, and we'll send it out to you, Trini. Well done. Congrats, mate.
And there is
another giveaway later.
What was that for?
That's for the Ian Bishop signed notebook.
Cool. And then after that, we are people are putting hashtag West Ham Network if you want to win the.
We just done
What's
that.
The hashtag? Oh, that.
We just done that.
Right.
For fuck's sake, Anton, sort it out. Try all this. You don't get all this stuff in it. But we'll do this one later anyway.
And we've got this.
We'll do this one.
Right, let's bring an old timer on. Are you ready for this one?
Old timer. Let's see. Here he goes.
Dan Love.
Oh,
mate.
the cheek of it. There's you saying about all these great guests you've had on, so I think I'll make an appearance. Then I get called an old timer. I know I need to tie the grades a bit, but come on, cut me a break.
Well, we could even say Ian Bishop's doppelganger, really.
I know I was with his mate in the pub the other day. Old Stevie Harris.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad.
Channel, actually.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, Dan, you haven't been on for a while, so interesting to hear your point of view. You've got loads of fans going off on one with relation to the youth setup. Today,
Yep.
Ashby's headed out the door. Longello's, I mean, it's gaining a lot of momentum that he could be heading out the door on a permanent deal. What's your take on the youth situation at West Ham?
If they're not good enough, let them go before they walk on their own. If they're not good enough, there's no point keeping people on a wage bill. We need to move up and up. For years we've been getting. Oh, I can hear myself for some reason. For years we've been getting these players that aren't good enough, championship players, etc., which they were good enough at the time, but now, or the last couple of seasons, we've been playing well, we've been getting good results, and we've been getting better players, and we need to continue that way. We can't just keep kids for the sake of they've come from our thing. If they're not good enough, let them go. Has anyone we've let go in the last few years, are they playing in the championship now? Are they doing any good? Or are they championship and lower? Lower.
Yeah.
I think that's a valid point,
It's
actually, because
right,
when you've got to look at that. Yeah, you've got to look at that and think, from all the players that we've let go, it seems to be that most of those calls were correct. I think the only argument, really, for me on that, on any of the youth situation, is when there's an opening, when there's an opportunity, and you think you've got a talent, or we're led to believe we've got a talent. And I go back to Alessi last year when we played Chelsea Arsenal, and we had no fit centre backs. Then, at that point, maybe give them a chance. But it didn't happen, and it's not happened. And it seems to be now we've just had a continuation of players heading out the door. And I think with the Ashby deal, for me personally, I'm all right with it. He didn't want to sign the contract. What's your thoughts on Ashby in particular, Dan?
It's hard. I don't really watch the youngsters. I should do, but I don't watch it as much as I should. And we hear good things through the club. They do their posts on social media, and they say, "Oh, this person's really good. This person's coming up. This person's going to be great for the future." It's to sell shirts. It's to sell chocolate bars, etc., etc. I firmly believe if they're not playing in the first team, they're not good enough. They'd be playing in these cup games. They'd be playing in the early stages Europa games, but they're not. I'm completely fine with Ashby going.
Yeah. When it comes to the rest of the window and the first team, we've got a few injuries. You're hearing stuff about Antonio talking on the show and the podcast. I don't personally necessarily think it was the world's worst comment he made. He was just speaking his mind. Plus, he was getting probed as well. What's your take on Antonio's situation? Well, Russ, don't be thinking like that.
Getting probed.
Yeah. But what's your take on the old Antonio situation, mate? And our situation with players in general, the first team?
We've got a lot of players. We've got so many midfielders, so many players we're not using, which is good. But we can't keep throwing money out there and buy more and more and more players. We need a thinner squad of better quality players to compete. Yes, we need backups, but how many midfielders have we got at the minute?
Oh,
a ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
Rice, Suchek, Downs. Yeah,
we need to be moving players out to get better players in. And unfortunately, Antonio could be one of those players to go out. So it can say he can have opinion as much as you want. And I love the guy. He's a fantastic bloke, and he's had some good seasons with us. But at some point, he's going to need to make room. And if players are going to say, "Oh, we need to invest in this, we need to invest in that," players like Antonio, maybe Soucek, etc., will need to make way for those players.
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Before we carry on, thank you very much for Michael. Oh, sorry,
Well, Mike, welcome.
Coming back as well. No, yeah, thank you very much, Michael, for that. Sorry, on you go, Russ.
No, I was going to say Dan's totally right, and I think and Dan in the chat as well said the same thing. It's like, if they're, we've got so many good. We do have an imbalance at the moment, it seems, and it's like the positions we need covering, we never seem to have enough. So last season we had 4 centre backs, and we ended up with like playing Cresswell in there, and obviously not playing Elise and stuff like that. And the same things happened this year. Midfield, we're fine. If Declan Rice and Souček got injured last year, we'd be able to cover them, and we'll still be able to cover them this season, really. If we had 2, if Paqueta and Rice, God forbid, touch wood, got injured, we'll be able to cover that, no problem, with spares. But if now we're playing 3 centre backs as well, if one of those centre backs goes, we've got. I mean, Tilo, I think is his confidence is being shot, definitely. It's just
Declan's down the back line.
Exactly, Declan or Souček will drop in. He's played centre back as well, and that's ridiculous.
Prime Checo Karte there from Thomas Souček.
Yeah, prime Checo Karte. But that's for me. It just seems. And that's what I was saying to X this morning. It's like and that's what I said to Jonty as well. We've the whole reason why Dawson didn't go and Ashby didn't go in the summer was because we haven't got replacements. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, and we've let them go, and we've got £6 million in the bank for nothing. For for me, it's like he was already someone like Dawson. Yeah, it was he was going to go, and then he wasn't going to go, and to be honest, he still played about 50% of the games this season for us up to now. I think he's made like 14, 15 appearances. I think he played like 30 games or something like that so far, and it's like, you've only got another 4 months, 5 months, and you can fuck off then.
But the thing is, right, in his defence, he made it apparent in the summer he didn't want to go.
Yeah, fair enough.
He did play. He carried on playing, didn't he? Right? I mean, he could have gone and didn't. But they knew in the summer.
Yeah.
So they had 4 months.
And Ashby as well. And it's like, I mean, you could probably sort of maybe say the whole thing with Luizao could be eventually, but eventually,
You know what? He may even get stepped up quicker. He may get stepped up quicker.
He may do, but still, it's like, it's not.
Because he's probably, even though he's only just arrived, he is probably like the most experienced now of the centre-backs. He's probably the one that's more physically ready.
Yeah.
But it looks like, from what I read, though, is that Moyes seemed to have it set that he was going to get Michael Keane on loan.
And then Sean Dyche comes in,
and then Sean Dyche
from Burnley, and that's fucked that up. And it's like, well,
it's one of them funny. It's the film. It's one of the funny football films, and it's the 4 like Muslim guys in the car dancing in the moonlight. You know what I'm talking about? They come from Birmingham. They're going down to London. They're all sitting there.
Oh, Four Lions.
Yes, right. And as soon as Sean Dyche appeared, right, all I saw on my Twitter feed was that picture, and it's like Sean Dyche in the van when he's bringing Michael Keane, Tarkowski, and Dwight McNeil to training on Monday morning, and they all said, because he had them all at Birmingham. So as soon as he signed, you knew. Sorry, he had them all at Burnley. So as soon as he signed, you knew that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
But and then, in which case, go get someone else. Like Harry Suter has gone today. He was on our list.
15 million plus add-ons, isn't he?
To Leicester.
Yeah. And it's not just that, but even someone like, and we've mentioned him today as well, like Callum Chambers from Villa. He's not the most inspirational signing, but after Craig Dawson, anyone will do, because you never know how they're going to turn up. He's someone
who can play right back and centre back.
He can play right back, and he's not going to get any game time because Henry hates him. He let him go from Arsenal to Villa because he didn't rate him, and he's not getting any game time now. Gerrard thought he was a good player, and he obviously got game time under them. But he hasn't gone anywhere, so it's like there must be some weird thing there. And it's like, although Nat Phillips and I don't know.
But on that one, on him in particular, there maybe is a concern with that. When I think about the amount of managers you just mentioned, and the only one that got on with him was Steven Gerrard, and look how that turned out. Yeah, so I'm a bit like,
I always liked him. I think I wouldn't say he was underrated. I would say he was appropriately rated. I don't think he's should we say like a top 4 centre back, but he is, like, by and large, like a Dawson centre back. He's never going to do anything amazing. He does the job. So when I saw that coming in, I was like, you know what? If it's a couple of £1 million buy, or we can get him on a loan to buy, whatever. I was like, I wouldn't even be upset with it, because it's it is a Dawson replacement. It's someone that's going to chuck himself on the line, which he does, chuck his body in line and play some no-nonsense football, but he can pass a little bit. You know, same as Dawson. It was literally a Dawson replacement and didn't go for him. And you think, or maybe someone else is coming in. And it's like, oh, no, Moyes is happy. Moyes is happy to gamble on. We've only got 3 fit centre-back. I said Zuma is supposed to be back in a couple of weeks, apparently. But even then, that means you've got 3 starting and 1 backup. And then, like you said, outside of that, you're looking at Declan Rice or Louis Zhao or something.
Let me, Dan, I want to talk about our jumping up to our strikers again. You know, Danny Ings injured, Skamaka injured, but on the way back, relying on Antonio. 2 players, though, that have been out of form most of the season. And maybe you could say recently hitting a bit of form at the right time, or Bowen and Antonio. Have we got enough in the attacking ranks, considering that that's the area where we're struggling more than defensively?
I'm not falling for this. I know this is a trick. You're going to ask me, if we sign Andre Ayew, can he fit in at centre-back?
Dad,
the boys regime, yeah.
No, get it right. He's playing right wing-back. Come on.
Like the Antonio thing all over again.
Yeah.
What? So you're asking me, should we go for another striker, or do we need another striker?
Oh, well, yes and no, but I mean, well, do you think we've got enough to do what we need to do for the rest of the season, considering we've been struggling for goals most of the first half of the season?
I'd say we've got enough. We're starting to creep the goals in. I think this season what we need to do is we need to survive. We can't panic buying January, because in January you don't get no one good. It's very rare. The big transfers happen at the end of the season. You can't panic buy, because you end up paying over the odds for someone that really isn't good enough.
Yeah.
We need to scrape by. I don't believe we're going to go down. We got to stay up. No. I believe we will stay up. And then we do need to have a bit of reform. But again, we can't just go throwing money, because we did it first season at the new stadium. We did it when we signed Pellegrini, and we got nowhere. You can't just throw new players in. Can't throw money out there, get new players, throw them back in, and expect them to work together as a team and do it on the pitch. But you have to increase quality as you go.
It's like
I'm sorry. Someone on Twitter's just put a clip of Onuachu playing for Genk, and
the one where he skies it.
Southampton fan, and he's just no. He's just said he's going to fit it at Southampton way perfectly, and he's attacking, and he does like a Ronaldo triple step over. His legs are so big, so lanky. He slips, he falls, he can't control the ball, and it just goes straight to the keeper. It's the best. Honestly, it just made me laugh out loud. It's brilliant. But I'll probably come back and bite me on the arse. Yeah,
probably he's going to score an hat-trick against us now. Well done.
Yeah,
in it. But I think the thing with me is it's you think it's always this like massive step change, as you were saying, Dan. You know, there's been like since we've moved to the Olympic Stadium, and even before then, the season before then, we went crazy on deadline day, didn't we? We got like the likes of Antonio in and Nikola Jelavic, and I think we got 4 players in that day. And I think we had about 7 or 8 during that whole sort of summer transfer. Then we moved to the London Stadium, another massive step change. And then Pellegrini comes in, a massive investment there. And then after about a season and a half, that's all pissed up. Then Moyes has come back in, and now he's doing these big, and it just seems like we don't learn. We've never learned. It's like, why can't it just be incremental increases rather than this massive step change? And it's impossible to bed in 8 players. And then we've been playing shit as well. So likelihood is you just go to type when you're not, when you're not doing something right, you just go back to type and, hopefully it'll work again. And it sort of has done the last few games.
I've got some breaking news.
Go on, him.
Oh, hold on a minute. Matt.
Wait.
Hold your horses. Why can't I
hold your ears? Hold your ears.
No, yeah. Hold on. Oh my God. Why is it so slow? Here we go.
It's like a jump.
Go on, Matt.
Bruno Guimaraes is out of the game at the weekend because he just got a straight red for Newcastle.
Does that count because it's in the league?
Yeah, it does.
Cup?
No, it does.
Well, that's
where the next domestic game is.
I think it might. I think it might do, actually. Yeah.
I can't believe I just got tinnitus for that.
Yeah, exactly. Unless he appeals it, Matt said. Because then if you appeal it, you get like...
I mean, he's gone studs first.
Is that a double yellow?
No. It's just VAR'd a yellow up to a red.
No.
Studs first. You know that tackle that Fabinho put in like yesterday, was it, or the weekend for Liverpool?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "How is that not a red?" And then the PGMOL come out yesterday and said it should have been a red, but because they viewed it, they can't do anything about it.
Yep.
Bruno Gramarez just put in the exact same tackle, and the ref's gone to VAR and upgraded it to a red.
Well,
so he will not be playing at the weekend.
That's one less.
That's a big one missing for them. That is a big one.
But they've got this young lad, this young right back, Newcastle. Scottish under 21 guy, Harrison something. So yeah, we'll have a Newcastle fan on before then. So we'll have a chat with them about.
No one will understand him.
Her.
Well, listen. Most people not understanding people. I'll butt in, obviously. We've got another guest coming on, and it's like an old school reunion. Here we go.
Hey.
All right, son.
How are we? I was just sitting there, mooching about,
mate,
typing
yourself.
away, and I thought I might as well just come on instead of sitting there.
Someone that's actually got a decent internet can join us. Maybe boost up the rest of you.
Yeah, well, it might help. How are we anyway?
Well,
So,
we're
Dan, you're just well.
Not much.
Yeah, well,
music.
I think there's a little bit of delay somewhere along the lines of
that sums
Your
it
end.
all up.
Yeah, your end,
Oh.
mate. That's where the delay is, isn't it?
I've got another player to join the list of players that have turned down Everton today.
Got him, Matt.
Ishmael
Got him,
Sarr.
Matt.
Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Oh God.
Oh, right, it's too late. Done it.
Oh, what was it? Was it breaking news? or
No,
was
it's
that
done.
Matt's
It's done. It's
breaking
done.
news?
No.
Yeah,
Dan,
I
you've just
say,
joined
I
us,
say
mate.
he rejected him.
Give us your.
Everton rejected him.
For fuck's sake, you
What
go,
rejected
Matt,
him,
again.
sorry.
Doesn't stop talking.
Go on.
Anyway, Matt.
He don't stop talking, does he?
Oh, wait,
Dan-
Dan saw his Matt.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Dan, give us your kind of rundown, mate.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed. I genuinely felt like we needed a couple, but
Yeah.
again, it's another January goes by where we've done shag all. We've sold more than we bought in. Don't really make sense. We're in a relegation battle for crying out loud. Injuries, and yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm a bit disappointed.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong
Why?
with you, Anton?
Just hold your thought there. Breaking news, but it's not West Ham.
Oh,
Nottingham
don't
Forest
bother
have
then.
confirmed the signing of centre back Felipe from Atletico Madrid on a 1.5-year deal. What's interesting though is he's their 27th signing since the summer, and it looks like they've got 2 more coming in. Minimum 2 more coming in. So 27th signing since the
So
summer.
who's already been
Sorry,
cut?
Dan.
Man, that's
Hey,
Well, yeah,
ridiculous.
Lingard will go, won't he? But yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying, Dan,
Sorry, Dan, on you go, mate.
rudely interrupted by...
Yeah, I don't even know what I was saying now.
You're saying you were disappointed. You were disappointed. We've once again, we've
Yeah,
sold
no, I
more
am,
than we
I am.
bought in.
Just because we're in a relegation fight, we've had a lot of injuries, a lot of players out of form. I just thought we might have done something, even a couple of loans. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, especially with last year, because last year we were like in January, but we were pushing for the top 4, and we wanted to get some players in to keep that momentum going. This year is totally different. This year we're down the bottom. You need players to kick something started. And
It's like we need a couple to get the players we got going. Really,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it feels. I thought the Danny Ings signing was a good signing, and he
Me
goes and
too.
gets injured. But that's,
20 seconds.
That's
20
West Ham.
seconds in.
That's
That is just...
it's such a West Ham thing. It really is.
I love
People
it.
that don't support West Ham will never understand.
Then no. Because
But,
someone said to me, "Went, oh, what about Danny Ings? He got injured," and I was like, "Yeah." Sort of like it's like, are you not surprised? No, it's just so West Ham. You sort of
18
know
months he went without getting injured at Aston Villa. 18 months.
20
And he couldn't last 18 seconds. Like, did he literally like twist his knee running on the pitch from like the touchline?
Well, he
Like,
did it.
you know,
Clatters
sometimes
straight
I was gonna say, sometimes they do a little hop, skip, and a jump when they come on the pitch. It's like he's done a little jump, and he landed on the jump, and he's like, "Oh, I've done my knee in."
tumbling. Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like we thought, they're not going to change the manager. They needed some sort of step change to just get people fucking doing stuff and kick up the arse. And you're right. I thought Ings was a good start, and I thought they needed at least 1 more defender, if not 2. And again, we just haven't haven't done it, and I don't understand why. Because it's not like
There is there is the flip. There is something I have thought about, and it's like, are they a bit worried about giving Moyes more money to spend if in the
Maybe.
next few games he doesn't make it happen, and then they're kind of backed into a corner where they got to sack him. You
No,
know?
because we do the opposite. We always give a dying manager money to spend so that a new manager comes in and has to inherit a team that isn't his and doesn't
Yeah.
get any more money because they've already got it. And that's how it goes. Until he's just about, they give him money in January and then he's gone by the end of the season. Then they go, oh, you can have 3 million to the new manager. Make it a marquee signing.
Marquee signing 3 million. Craig Dawson comes home. All has been forgiven. Yeah, I just really don't get it. So we've got a real imbalance in the squad, and everyone can see it. And I just don't know why there has been no movement. There's been options there, but nothing has happened.
Yeah, there's players available. You know, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've just seen that tackle. You just sent me that tackle, Anton.
Yeah. Can you put the picture up? I
Bruno
can't. I
one.
don't know why I can't.
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just put a picture up just for people to kind of judge it themselves.
Yeah,
But I mean,
let me download it.
he clearly knows where he's putting his foot. So he'll be out of the game at Newcastle. As you can see along the bottom, though, news regarding a former West Ham player, Domingos Quina.
It's
United on
it's a
loan.
rather it's a West Ham.
Watford.
They get in the band. They've got Domingos Quina, they've got Connor Coventry, and they've got Jordan Hugel.
Getting the band back together at Rotherham.
They're all
Kind of
coming
proves my
back.
point as well, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're totally right.
None of them have gone on to do anything, so that I just don't understand the Twitter meltdowns when a youngster gets sold.
I think
said this.
we've had this for a long time, and I think we've said that before, that it's almost like, I think I've got a really good clip that Joe Cole said yesterday for the Derby game, and it was all about sort of basically West Ham sort of living in the past a little bit, and I think it is in some respects, the academy, and we've such a rich tradition, and we do glamorise, I think, the youth team players, and I think because of that, as you said, people go, and if Longelo goes to Birmingham on permanent, there's going to be a meltdown again, but. As I said, we've got quite a good track record of letting players go at the moment, and there's not been many since I can remember.
As well, we're not the only club. We are not the
No,
only club
totally.
that isn't promoting from within. At the end of the day, this happens a lot, and
Even look at Chelsea.
that is a naughty one.
Even look at Chelsea. Like,
Yeah, if you was to go through every team in the league
Yeah.
and work out how many of them have actually got players that have come through the academy that are playing week in, week out, how many really have? We've actually got 2 players, and that's quite a lot.
Yeah, I've got the spreadsheet.
oh,
I said
in
it
Man
to
City,
Anton.
look, Man City's best players end up at Southampton at the moment. They seem to buy a lot of them.
Yeah, they do. They buy me mass, don't they? Like
Well,
on free.
We were talking about that spreadsheet earlier on, so it's going to be totally cool to bring it up. But before we do, a bit of breaking news is a player that was linked to West Ham has just agreed a loan deal, to go to PSG from Chelsea,
Okay.
and that is Hakim Ziyech. So that deal's off the cards. If anyone thinks it's happening, it is not.
It ain't. And I think anything's going to happen.
It's not.
Although, as I said, I did text someone, can I go to bed? And they said, unless you're interested about Northern Ireland youngster. That's all they've said to me. So there we go.
Well, that's interesting. He's going to deal.
Anton's died.
Is Anton gone?
Fantastic internet. Fantastic.
Up and off.
I should have done yours. I should have got
Right,
a
I'll bring up that
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet.
I'm fucking dumb amount of it.
Are you plugged in?
Yes, mate. I fucking am. I don't know what to do.
And it's still like that.
What's going on?
Yeah.
But where's is the other end plugged in?
Yeah.
Right, where's my spreadsheet?
Plugged in at
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. I got this end. Right, where's my spreadsheet? Let me show my spreadsheet. You like this, Dan? You like this, Dan? Dan and Dan. So this is my spreadsheet. I went through all the Premier League, everyone who's played in the Premier League this season, up until obviously this weekend, and then extrapolated everyone who is an academy player. I've taken out people like Zaha because he left and came back for Palace, and I think that's fair enough. So you look at that, and you're totally right what you said. Clearly, you can see that, can't you? Let me make it bigger.
Yes, 100%.
You're totally right when you said, in terms of players who have played more than 5 games who are in the academy in the Premier League, it's apart from Chelsea, who obviously had to play a shitload because they couldn't buy anyone, could they? Couldn't buy anyone for a long time, so Lampard had to bring them in. The average is about is 2, and West Ham have 2, as you said, Ben Johnson and Declan Rice, and in fact, obviously, we Divine got a start as well, so we had 3. So you're right. It's not like it's not just a West Ham problem. It's a problem in general with football in terms of players not developing from the academy into the first team, and
a lot of the problem with this, Russ, is there's so much money in the Premier League that it's easier to go abroad and buy someone for 10, 15 million that can start straight away.
Yeah, and who's got, as I said, someone from France who's already played 50 games under their belt, or and we had, I think it was Tim Breaker. He was he used to be he's not a scout at the moment, but he was, and that's what he said. He said, you go and watch these youth team games, but then you make recommendations. They'll just go to Germany or France or Italy and buy someone. Well, not necessarily Italy, because Italy's different. Italy tends to. It's very rare for players to leave Serie A at such a young age. Like Scarmacca was a bit of a weird one to leave.
They like keeping them there, don't they?
Yeah, and they move about quite a bit, don't they, in Italy, in the Serie A. So you're totally right, and it's and I think because we've always perceived it, it might just be a generational thing. I think as well. People assume, who lived with the likes of Cotti coming through the academy and obviously Bobby Moore and people like, they might not be old enough to remember Bobby Moore coming through the academy, but it's almost like it's glamorized. The fact is, I think Joe made a good point, as I said at the Derby game. He was saying, we've got stands named after these players, and it's so I think people live in the past with them a little bit, and it's a real pressure on players coming into the club knowing that you're walking in and you've got the Bobby Moore stand, you've got the Trevor Brookings stand, the Billy Bond stand. And we've already got their backs up a little bit, and but he says once you get used to them, once you get used to the West Ham fans, they're a joy to play with, but you have to get used to them first. But no, I just think it's frustrating when you said someone like Longelo could have easily played as a backup left wing back for us, but then maybe they see Ollie Scarles as the future rather than Longelo. Who knows? Who knows?
Now he's gone. Can we talk about another transfer of Ant's hair? This afternoon he did one, and it looked like he'd load in the hairdo from a llama. And tonight he seems to sign a permanent on the Fonz. What's going on there?
I know. Well, he spelt Doherty and Atletico wrong there, so he's done well there. He's back. See, that's a weird one, isn't it? Matt Doherty going to Atletico Madrid. It's like Spurs want to do that. They did it with Trippier, didn't they? They let him go to Atletico. He came back, and then now they're doing it with Doherty now. You think him, Dave Spence has also got.
Hold on a second, Matt. Oh, for fuck's sake, Matt! Stop breaking. Just calm the beans, son. Calm the beans, mate.
Better be worth it.
Terminate.
No, it's not.
Doherty's contract ahead of his move. Anyway, sorry, Matt. Go.
Yeah, it's not worth it. No, Tottenham ripped up his contract.
Well, stop saying
so
it.
He's going on a free. He's gone on a free to Atletico. It's not even a loan.
It's a great deal for him. Isn't it? It's not playing. And also they got.
It never worked, did it? He's moved to Spurs. It never worked. So he's a fresh start.
Fair play.
Nuno brought him in, and then Nuno got sacked, and it was like, what do I do now? And then they tried to play him as a right back in the back four, which you can't do.
No. And then, obviously, Deej has gone to what's name as well, hasn't he? Deej has gone to Rennes.
So they've left. Did they sign, Dan and Mike know, did they sign Porro from...
This is getting like a jump scare.
I'm deleting this video.
Yeah.
Here we go. Fabrizio Romano has announced that Chelsea have a full agreement with Enzo Fernandez, which will break the British record for a signing in the it's the January transfer window. But so he's coming. He's coming to the Premier League.
600 million.
Well, he's
6 months.
How are they doing it?
It was all agreed. It was all agreed just for the player and the guy this morning, but they couldn't get the agreement from Rui Costa, the president. So obviously, it's taken them 10 hours, or 20, almost 22 hours, to them to say yes. That's ridiculous.
There is a video. There is a video actually for anyone that wants to find out. There is one doing the rounds on YouTube that explains how they've managed to spend 600 million and not break FFP.
Well, FIFA are changing, aren't they? FIFA are literally changing.
Yeah, they saw the loophole. They seen the loophole.
Yeah.
Chelsea is.
Yeah, they found that. He's literally playing Football Manager in real life, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's
you know what though, you can't begrudge him. He hasn't broken any rules. Like obviously, always billions of pounds in America. He sat down and got the best lawyers and gone, "What can I do?" And they've gone, "Well, according to these rules,
you can do this.
You can break the price of the contract can be broken down over the length of the contract. The price of the deal can be broken down over the length of the contract. So you're saying if I buy an £88 million player and give him an 8-year contract, it's only 11 million a year.
Yeah.
And everyone's gone, well, you can't do that. It's like,
yes,
right
you
there.
can. Fair play to him.
Nothing that says I can't.
Nah, typical.
So all these players they've signed in this
American
window are all signing 6, 7, 8 year contracts because it just wipes out the value of the deals.
But it is interesting because that's how they sign their deals in American sport. So it's no surprise really that an American owner has found that loophole and is signing these players to long-term deals.
But now they're capping it at 5 years.
Right.
That's what FIFA are bringing in. I don't know if they're capping the contract at 5 years, but they're capping the value of the contract at 5 years. So maybe you can go like, I can give you a 5-year contract with the option of a 2, but the options are relevant. It's just you can only have the value of the transfer as 5 years, but that's not until the summer. So this for 570 million or whatever they've just spent in 6 months, it's just broken down over the next 8 years. Which, if he's gambling to be back in the Champions League for the next 8 years, isn't going to be a lot at all. Well, actually, probably be a lot to anyway with Premier League TV money.
Because they're going to have to keep them players. Because if they keep doing it, it's going to get to 3 seasons' time, and they're going to have no money again, and they're not going to be able to buy anyone because it's all built up.
Guys,
if players become injured or they're not good, it's all right having the money, but you can't spend it.
That's by someone else
because they would have built up the cap for the year or for those years ahead. It's at some point it's going to catch up with them. Hopefully,
it will do. Hopefully, but then they'll probably have about 4 different managers by then.
Well, no, but they'll just sell a load of their kids again, the academy players.
But that's the thing. Like that's the thing with like American, coaches. Anyone who watches any American sport, they get rid of their coaches practically all the time. And it's like because they have a defensive like American football, they have the offensive coach, the defensive coach. If something doesn't work, they get rid of people like really, really quick, really, really sharpish. And I'm surprised he's giving them enough time, to be honest, because it was always a bit. I thought with American owner coming in, I thought they weren't really doing it. But talking to a lot of Chelsea fans, they back Potter because they can see what he's trying to do. They see he's trying to bring in this sort of young, youthful style of football, getting rid of people like Jorginho and people like that at the club. And I think he'll do well. Actually, I think he'll do well with this new bunch. I like Noni, the winger we bought from PSV. I think he's a really good player. Really gutted. They've got some really good fucking players.
Sean Dyche has left the training ground at Everton, so he has officially left their training ground, and they've left director of football Kevin Thelwell alongside the club's media team, but they've been unable to obviously bring someone in. But the manager has left the premises.
Well, the number of players that have turned him down today has been ridiculous. I should have done a spreadsheet for that. I think I'm up to about 14 players at the moment. I just read as well that I said about a little while ago, they tried to get Ismail Sarr, but they wanted to do a loan to buy on the basis that they stayed up. Watford were like, it's no good to us. You've left it too late. So they said no. Then they've tried to bring in Giroud for 6 months. He said no. And now, with 55 minutes of the deadline left, they're trying to sign Mateta from Crystal Palace.
Why are they going to say, yeah, go on, you can have him in 15 minutes? Idiots, aren't they? Although Anton, I do have some breaking news, but I'm not gonna press it. No, I'm not gonna press it. Not gonna press it. We have signed. West Ham Network have signed for next week. Laurent Courtois. He's on the channel next week. I've just got the message from him. Laurent Courtois will be on the channel doing a West Ham Miami's 11 next week.
I love how it has to take you to find a picture of him using a Premier League card.
Takes a while. There's not many pictures. I love him. He's at Columbus Crew at the moment. He's a coach there, but no, he's a top man. He's funny, so it'll be quite a funny one next week. So yeah, there we go. So that's why you got to subscribe and make sure you hit the bell notification so it's anytime we got any content. Also next week we may even have Youssef Sofian coming on. Former West Ham player, but he's an agent. He's a bit busy today. I was trying to get him on, but he's an agent, so he's fucking busy at the moment by the sounds of it.
Listen, another thing while you're all here, while you're all watching, Dan, over to you, mate. Let everyone know where your channel, where they can find you on YouTube, mate.
You can't at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm having my office built, so I literally ain't been doing a lot. So yeah, you can't at the minute. Maybe
I seen an update, but I wasn't too sure. Right, okay.
Yeah. At the minute, I've kind of had to call everything quits because it's a nightmare, mate. I've been running internet cables from the house and new electrics and all sorts. But yeah, it's going to be it'll be good once it's done, so I'll have my own space and I won't be making noise in the house anymore. And
so and down there, which most of you will know, will have his channel back again at some point soon. Keep an eye out for it, and we'll promote it as soon as we do as well.
And you'll be on here.
I'm glad you went on
here. And
did you see
Dan
my
will be on
face
here.
when you said Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you guys had found out about my OnlyFans. I'm glad you went down.
Yeah, my OnlyFans.
Hey, why is this the first? Why is this the first we're only hearing of it? Eh?
Well, it's only Dan's.
Moyes just farted down the phone to Conor Gallagher. He smelt the iron brew and said, "No thanks, Dave." That's from Hammer 89. So quite good one. Quite a good one. How long we got left of the window? 54 minutes.
54 minutes and counting.
What the fuck do we want to talk about?
Let's have a reminisce. We was all sitting here, 2-3 January transfer winners about, thinking, oh, nothing's going to happen. Oh, there might be one coming in, maybe not. And then Sochek, how good was that when that come through?
Yeah.
We thought we were done.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yep. You never know. Something could come out.
There he'll go.
Something could. I mean, Hammer 89 is saying Hammer 89 is saying that Lungello's gone, but
he's just finished the game, isn't he?
Maybe he's dashed off to sign it now the game's finished.
Yeah,
He's pretty enough to sign it.
But also, obviously there are other, we do have other clubs at West Ham. West Ham women have signed a couple of people today. They got the Arsenal defender Sharon Cook from Arsenal on a long-term deal. They're playing Arsenal this weekend, actually, on Sunday. If anyone wants to go along, it's great fun, actually. The old Dagenham Redbridge ground. Yeah, how can he... Also, West Ham... Matt, shush! Also, West Ham women have signed Danish striker Emil Threstop from PSV on loan. But we do have... go on, you can introduce him, Anton. One Scot to another.
Well, I mean, there doesn't really need to be an introduction for this man only. Let's just bring him straight on. Mr. Ray Stewart, thank you very much for joining us, Ray. Good to see you, mate.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
You'll be getting fed up of seeing our faces, not just online, but in person as well. Because I keep bumping into you in random places. So
that's all right, no problem. See, listen, memory. You've got a good memory, that's for sure.
Yeah, we do. On you go, Russ.
How was the football today, Ray? How was the football, the training?
We go training on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday, and where we are, it's a hard place to get a signal. So I just thought I better give a call, and then I thought when I get home about 10:30, maybe I said, we'll see if we can connect. But even my laptop's not connecting; it's on the phone. So
don't worry. We appreciate you. We appreciate.
Up in Scotland, it's like they cut things off very quickly.
I really do.
Don't pay your way.
Yeah, and Anton can attribute to the internet and the phone signal up in Scotland. Yeah, definitely. Right, obviously, West Ham doesn't look like we're going to be signing anyone. We've let a couple of defenders go. I just don't understand what's going on. Don't get it. I don't understand it. Surely we should have brought another defender in to cover, someone like Dawson or even the young boy Ashby.
Well, I like the boy Ashby. I think he's a really good player. I saw him up at St Andrews and I saw him playing a couple of games. He's probably one of the best young players I've seen for a long time. And yeah, it's sad that they move on, but listen, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe the guy wants to get another opportunity, and sometimes you're better to let guys go on their way. You're there to develop players. I know you want to keep players, but West Ham's developed a lot of good players in the days. They've moved on to other things. We've brought players in. I know you want to say that sometimes you shouldn't bring players in, but that's the name of the game. You bring in and move on, and that's football. I'm afraid to say it.
Yeah, and I think even more so now with so much money in the game as well. It's like it's almost like we were just saying beforehand. How many youngsters don't actually break into the first team consistently. Obviously, yourself did, and in terms of you came down as a youngster, and we've had we talk about Bobby Moores, and we talk about Tony Cotties, and we talk about Joe Coles and stuff like that, and obviously Declan Rice now, and obviously the fans want to see players from the academy getting these first team opportunities, and then it's just I can understand the frustration from, but as you said, there's so much money in the game now. It's a real high risk to do, I think now.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm gonna just say for David Moyes to bring a young guy through for the academy and bring him up and through into the first team, that's tremendous. And I think Moyes has done that over the years gone by, but maybe he feels that maybe there's too many players in front of the guy. It's going to be second choice or whatever. And sometimes you speak to the guy or his agents or whatever, and they decide that maybe I moved somewhere else better for him. So at the end of the day, the lad will never forget what's happened at West Ham United, because that's where he's learned his trade. But hey, he's moved to a club that's going places as well. So, well, hopefully going places, but no, in a couple of weeks' time, obviously, because West Ham have got them.
Yeah, exactly. We got them on the weekend, didn't it? Can you just imagine? You could just imagine.
I think it's a great move for him. I think, honestly, I'm talking about him, Harrison Ashby, because I saw him and I said to my son, what a player he is. I like him. And obviously he could step in, but there's 2 or 3 players in front of him now at the moment, and he's taking his opportunity to go somewhere else. So good luck to him. Yeah. Can't he blame Moisey for that?
Obviously, No. Yeah, I mean, obviously the big topic really with West Ham fans right now is the youth setup. So, I mean, and I get now that money, it does play a big part in it, doesn't it? The contracts that they're getting offered for maybe not a lot of experience in playing in the first team. Obviously, that will have a big kind of say in what the players are going to do, because really, in theory, I agree with you on the Ashby situation, but he's not going there to play first team football, which is what he wants to do. He wants the breakthrough season at West Ham, and he never really got it.
You don't know what their thoughts are. You don't know what their thoughts are. Eddie's obviously bringing them in for a reason. He's not bringing them in to make numbers up, that's for sure. He maybe sees something else in the guy and you think Tierney's doing well. Tierney could maybe play left back. And listen, there's a lot of things go on in football. You know that. I'm a West Ham man. I want to see them doing well. And the players he brought in, I thought they were very good players, but some of them have not had a chance to develop alongside each other. So I think we need a bit of time, and really time's not on our side. You know that. It's not easy.
Yeah.
What's it like though as a player, Ray, when you bring in a whole host of players? From memory, was there a time where there was a whole collection of players coming in, and what was your thought when someone was coming in potentially in your head at your position, and what did that do for your morale?
Well, I mean, if you bring players in front, there's always going to be a wee bit of unrest in the dressing room, because people will think, well, that's my position. He's bringing him in for, and you try and be as friendly as you can with them and try and get on and try and make team spirit and everything. But at the back of your mind, you're saying, well, I'm not going to pass to him because he's going to take my place. And yeah, things, they're human beings and they want to be number one. And if you're no number one and somebody takes your place, it's very hard. I mean, I'm not saying that you throw a dummy out the pram, but, it is that kind of thing sometimes. But I prefer the player who says, well, you're here to take my position, you have to go and fight for it, that's for sure. And I think if you have that mentality, which is, I can see that in a lot of the players at West Ham, they're thinking, there's 3 or 4 players for this position. Certainly I'm not giving it up very easily. So, you're looking at, I'm not going to mention players because it's not fair, but there are players you're looking at, you think, well, he's been brought in for this one or that one. But the bottom line is, the ones he's brought in, I've given them a couple of games and they've really done well, I think. So we'll see how it goes at the end of the day. I know we're in a position of, no position of strength for sure at the moment, but we should be further up the league without doubt. But listen, there's a long way to go yet. A lot of games between now and the end of the season, so we'll see.
Definitely. And obviously still in the cup as well, in the FA Cup, isn't it? That's nice for a change.
I was just discussing that with my family, and maybe go to that game. Was it a couple of weeks and was it Tuesday?
Yeah, it's towards the end of February. Yeah, I think it's a good time to play United because I think they've got the Champions League and they've got the League Cup final as well, and I think they've got to play Liverpool away in the league, so it's a really good time to play them. But
listen, David Moyes is due a victory up there, so let's hope it can be then. You know what I mean? I actually want West Ham to move on because it's 40 years or something since we won that cup, and we're still remembered for it. I mean, it's great for me to say that, but I want them to win the cup. I want somebody else to get the glory that we had. You know what I mean? We had great times. Trevor, for example, scoring that winning goal. If nobody ever wins this FA Cup, he'll be known forever for this. You know what I mean? So, and he'll be like me. He's a West Ham man. He'll want them to win the cup as well for different reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously that, and Europe, obviously still in the Europa League. You know, it doesn't start for another month and a bit, but it's still in 2 cup competitions come the end of January. I can't believe that.
We're doing all right, and I said we're bringing players in. Okay, 1 or 2 injuries come through, like the centre half got injured early in his season at Rangers game, and he's just come back and he looks worth every penny. We've got Ingsy come in. I think he's a great player as well. I mean, scores goals, but he's injured. I mean, what do we do about that? You know, every player he's bringing in seems to get injured. So I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard because I'm sure his training is high intensity and he wants the best in training every day. And players are maybe getting injured in training and want to play the games, and these kind of things happen. So it's difficult. It's difficult, but we just got to keep our fingers crossed and keep going and keep getting results and nick points here and there.
Yep. As you said, it's about getting points and about momentum. Obviously, we've won the last 2 games in a row. I mean, January hasn't been a bad month for us, really, in retrospect, considering other months. We've won the last 2 as well, kept 2 clean sheets, and it's about momentum. And obviously, going to the Newcastle game, they may have a couple of players out. One got sent off today in the cup game, and looks like another one's gone off injured. Yeah. Busy. We got really tough games. We've got obviously Newcastle, Chelsea, we've got Spurs, we've got Forest. February's going to be a very busy month for West Ham. What's it like? Obviously when you get obviously during the 85-86 season, there was literally playing towards the end of the season, playing very really often. At the moment, we're still playing 1 game a week. As a player, did you enjoy playing all the time, or did you enjoy the 1 game a week? So I can imagine some players probably enjoy playing 1 game a week, and they've got time to rest and train and reassess for the next game. But I imagine for you guys, it was just wanted to get on the pitch.
Yeah, I think we were winning, and when you're winning, you just want to keep playing. And our training was enjoyable, and we just looked forward to the games. We only had a small squad. We had a squad, I think, about 16, and everybody was used. You never had to sit and wait too long to get the next game, and I just enjoyed it. I was a footballer. I got paid to play football, which I enjoyed, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So, and the good thing about it is we were winning more games at that as well, which is great. You always like to win. You always like to win.
Yeah, totally.
And the fans like to win as well. Obviously, they get the buzz by winning.
That's the thing. I mean, there was definitely on the telly last night. You heard "We've got Super David Moyes" chants by the away fans, which was a bit surprising considering some of the fan base. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've brought that up a lot recently, and I mean, within reason. I said that the modern world seems to be run by a lot of the social media, and a lot of people sometimes think that social media gives people the bigger voice. Ray, me and you will know more than anyone when we go back to the independent vote over Scotland, that if you believed social media, you believed that it was going to be a landslide, and it wasn't. And I'm not getting into political conversation, but the point was that if you believe what the social media thinks, you always think the majority sometimes, and it wasn't. It worked out not like that. And then Russ, we heard it last night. We heard the fans singing, and I've seen some people comment and going, "Oh, there was a lot of us there shrugging our shoulders, confused that why they were backing the manager and singing a song for the manager." But it certainly didn't sound like there was it sounded like a shitload of fans got together and put their voices together and sang that song and kind of meant it. And you feel a little bit of momentum with the fans as well, because people who are you know,
listen,
shot
Moisey knows better than anybody. If he's not getting results, he's going to get stick. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And if he's getting results, he deserves the credit. So it's a bit of balance. And listen, if he loses his job tomorrow at West Ham, we need to take long to get another job because he's such a quality manager. So I do like to even talk about that side of things. He's our manager and he's doing a great job as far as I'm concerned. And he'll get it right. He's never he's had failure in his life, but to get success, you need failures. So it's like to be a better player, you need a bad game every now and again to make sure that you're going to keep on your toes. So Moisey's aged in the last year or so, I can see that in him. But I tell you what, he'll be back. He'll keep the team going. And he's, as you say, he's now they're on a 2 games. So let's go again. We've got Newcastle very soon. We've got Man United coming. We've got a lot of big games. And West Ham that's what they're known for, big games.
Yeah.
We're big game players now. We're no wee lads anymore. We're big game players.
Do you think we've got enough in the tank, Ray? I mean, I know we've brought in a lot of players and the big transitions there, but really, is there enough in the tank to get us through this season to then get to the summer?
I do. I think there's enough players in his squad. I mean, they're going to have to fight for places. I mean, he's got 2 or 3 forwards now. Well, last year, whenever he had enough forwards, right? So we've got them. We've got enough defenders to play different formations. We've got decent midfield players. I mean, he's got a squad of players that can play an attacking role or a holding role or a defensive role. I think we can put a team out now, and I think the players are back to playing with confidence. I think a few weeks ago there's a wee lack of this, a lack of that, but I think they're getting all that back again. Bowen's getting the confidence back, scoring his goals. You know, you're getting players. There's more team spirit again. It's not about me; it's about the team, and I think that's what you need. It's all right saying I'm scoring all the goals, but I'm the other end of the park. I'm being the best defender in the park, and everybody wants to do their bit. And I see that now. I see that coming out of the team.
There's
particular exactly the same.
Oh, sorry, Russ. There you go.
I was about to say exactly the same. You know, the beginning of the season, I didn't feel there was a real team spirit, and obviously the last few years have been built on team spirit. I mean, even lockdown, you know, I saw a side there. So obviously I was still at the ground, still at the games, and I saw a team there. I saw a squad there. I saw a real team spirit. Joshuaing taking the piss out of each other, and I didn't really see that until probably about 4 or 5 games ago. Maybe just around the time that Mark Noble got appointed, well, it was announced about the sporting director, it seemed to be, I started to see the players jostling more. They were doing little huddles. They were taking the piss out of each other, and a little bit more that was coming out with the club as well. And I agree, it does seem to there is a momentum gathering, in my opinion. But hey, it's only until the next game, innit? We'll see what happens the next game, innit?
Of course, but you've got to build somewhere, and that's the start. And I like when I see a team with the morale and getting results and the buzz, and when you score a goal, everybody's round you and encouragement. Well, I've seen a lot of teams score a goal and only 2 players go and shake his hand. You know what I mean? So I like to see everybody camaraderie. I like to see that because it's a team game. It's not an individual. Although an individual can win the game for you, it's a team game. You know.
Can I ask a question about a particular player, Ray? We signed him in the summer. Both you and I were at the game. He got injured. Naif Aguerd against Rangers.
Yeah.
We've now saw what he's capable of doing. Yeah. What do you think? Give me your kind of thoughts on him.
I did a wee bit of homework when he arrived, and I thought he was a good player. But to see him getting injured that night, I felt sorry for Moisey because he was bringing players in to make the team better. Now we're seeing this guy playing, and what a player he is. I mean, he balances the defence, and he's good in the air. And I mean, just there's lots of things there. I mean, listen, we've got a lot of good players there now. I mean, even when Diop was out, Diop was a great player. You know, he's playing with Fulham and doing the business there. You know, so we've had to let some guys go to bring in. I do feel probably better players, but more expensive players as well. I think so. That's the name of the game now. You got to keep up with the Joneses. I think that's the secret.
Yeah, I mean, there's no ifs or buts about it. From watching him, he's an exciting defender, and he's something for me personally we've missed for a long time. Someone who's calm, collected on the ball, and can guide that defence. I mean, for you, Ray, having people who are capable beside you must have been a big thing on the park.
Well, it is. I mean, we had good players. We had winners as well. I mean, Big Alvin, for example, the centre half. He could play. He could play. He's one of the best centre halves I've seen. That could play with the ball. He was very good with the ball, and that's what you need in the game today as well. You need guys who can take the ball to the back and play. Certainly more. In our day, we played more longer balls from back to front. Goalies kicked the ball a lot more. We played up in the other team's half. We were less likely to score an their goal because we're up playing in their area. So it's changed now. We're playing more in their own boxes half the time. And I worry about that sometimes. I like to get the ball forward and develop, get crosses in and get people in the box to finish them off. That was my game, but it's changed. Certainly changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Matt, Dan,
there's
anyone?
a good squad of players there. I think we can move on and we can step up. And although we're in the wrong position at the moment, but hey, we're still above the line, so let's keep going.
That's definitely the key thing as well. And you said it there as well, Ray. You know, when you kind of 1980, and you were obviously very fortunate to be part of that squad and a vital part of the team as well. So, but for us, most of us nowadays, we've not saw that. We weren't there and present, and it's getting to kind of the stage where you just want some silverware. The desperation for silverware is huge in us, and you know, at the start of the season, if I said to any West Ham fan, probably, you know, win a cup and just survive, would you have taken it and snapped it off the hands? And I think many fans would have.
I think
many
so.
fans
would
would have.
Give the fans a bit of something to shout about. Go to this Wembley or wherever we're going and cup finals, and it's a buzz. I mean, it's a buzz for the players. It's great for everybody because you look forward to it. The hardest thing nowadays is you've got so many players in the squad that there's a squad for this cup and a squad for that cup, and you know, and poor laddies. If my team got us to the cup final and we get there, does he change that format to these better 11? Do you know what I mean? And that's what kind of bothers you. Like now you play different goalkeepers in different games, and you know what I'm saying. And I think it's when it comes to the final, they all want to play, don't they? You know, so that's the hardship for a manager. It's all right balancing his books as he goes through the ranks, but it's like Eddie Howe there. There's a night he's got through the cup final, and now he's wanting to win it, isn't he? He's going to put his best players out, doesn't he? So anyway, that's football. You put your best.
I know,
players
and do you know what? You're right. Just saying that, just looking all over the TV and the internet right now, it's either Newcastle fans or someone seeing it. They're going to Wembley, and you can't help just sit there, lads, and think, "Oh man, how are we not?" It's just like they've got that euphoria feeling, and we were so close to it last year, weren't we?
It's 40 years since we won a cup, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, the FA Cup, and I don't know, man. Newcastle. I mean, it's probably longer for them. You know, I don't know how many years it is now, but it's a long time. And just to get to a cup final, the fans are buzzing. I heard the guy yesterday in the radio coming from Australia. I think he thinks they're going to win it, and he's coming over to that game, and he's been the Newcastle supporter all his life. So good luck to him. You know what I mean? And good luck to all the fans. And because I've been there, I know what it's like. It's enjoyable, great for the club. As I said, we've lived in it for 40 years, haven't we? So let's move on and let's try and win it this year.
This is a good question, Ray, for you from someone in the chat here. Do you think the 80 Cup run cost us promotion that season?
Probably did. I mean, we were going so well, you know, we were going well. But you can only have what you've got. We never had a great big squad. We had probably a pool of about 18 or something like that, and we just had to use everybody that we had. And I don't know. You just have to take it as a find it. As I said, it's hard for the manager and his staff now because they've got to pick. You've got to give everybody games, and if you leave too many, it causes unrest. So you play players in this game and players in that game. And listen, there's nothing worse for a player if somebody's playing in front of you every week. You know, it's like you're not as good as, or not any good anymore. Or I feel sometimes for certain players like Krez, I think he's a great player. When he came to the club, he was magnificent, and he's been a great servant. And now he's looking over his shoulder now, isn't he? You know what I mean? So these things happen. The other side of the park, Kufo was one of the best players in the park, but he's looking over his shoulder as well now because he just needs Reid Johnson to have a run of confidence and a boost, and he can maybe link up better with Bowen or whatever. You know, these things. The managers look at all these things, and coaches look at these things. So I've not got a problem with his squad, and I've not got a problem with his players because I think they're all trying their best for the club. Everyone.
And there's probably a similarity between like last season's squad and the run we had in Europe, and then how the form took a dip in the Premier League. But for me as a fan, you know, I was willing to let up that Premier League form for that journey that we took in
And the
Europe
cups,
and,
yeah.
and how close we were, and but that journey was, I won't forget that in my lifetime, as neither will many
Of course,
fans.
listen, you're it's as good as winning it, innit? The run you got, it's as good as being there and winning it. But we were short, and to be fair, we were only very short, but we were short at the end, and we've got to live with that. But we've lived on the confidence for the last 2 years. We're in Europe again this year. You tell me, when was West Ham twice in 2 years in the top being in Europe? It was a long, long time ago, and I didn't think it ever happened, was it?
No,
I mean,
not based on league position. No, obviously we won it when we won the cup in '65. Then obviously we qualified
well,
next
that's
year.
what I'm saying.
But that's not in the league. You're totally right. Not in the league. Yeah.
I'm right about
Yeah.
something then, eh? Thanks.
Oh, brilliant.
No, it's a hard time, as I said, but let's keep on. Let's be building the team in confidence, and let's get behind the lads, because honestly, there's nothing worse than being negative about things. Let's get behind the club. Forget about all the old things that go. I always say this. I like to see the club playing with confidence and the fans getting behind each other and everybody being a big unit together, because we're stronger together. Numbers are bigger and better together. So let's not break away in a wee gang and turn against people. Let's support everybody and see where we can end up if we get behind each other. Because listen, remember COVID? Think about it. We weren't allowed to any games. It was just the players. And we did very well, yeah? And then the fans come back and we had a wee, because fans are getting players stick. Players didn't like stick. You know what it's like. You want to be the best player and do the best. But now, I think there's only a small majority now that's maybe a bit negative at times. If we can just turn them and get them to support and get behind the lads. Because I'm telling you, it's not better for a player and the fans being on your side and supporting everything you're doing. So that's all I'm asking for. If you start getting negative, the players get negative, trying to take the ball, get behind them. We'll make mistakes. We'll all make mistakes. But I'll tell you what, we'll make that mistake once and we'll maybe make it twice. But I'll tell you what, the third one will go in and you'll be glory, hunting, you know. That's it, honestly. I took the penalties for years, and if you miss one, it was doom and gloom. But I'll tell you what, I've got so much confidence. People said, guaranteed, penalty all were guaranteed to go. And it was great for me, great positive attitude, great this, great that. But see if I missed, I felt my house was going to get burnt down because I've let them down. I've let them down. They didn't want you to let them down. You can't let anybody down. You've got to be positive. So it's the reverse. It's the fans have got to be the same. Be positive, get behind the guys, support every one of them, and see where it takes us. Look at Man United. They've stopped shouting about the Glazers. Look where it's taking them just now.
Yeah.
I know it'll be in the back of their minds, this Glazer thing. Obviously, never leave them, but let's get behind the game and look at Man United. They've turned the corner a little bit, haven't they? Yeah. We're the same. Yeah. We're great supporters. We've got fantastic supporters. Just let's all sing off the same hymn sheet.
Love it.
Absolutely, do love it. Yep.
Right, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
The legend.
Thank you much, Tonka.
I'll let you go on your way, boys, and I really appreciate.
Well, there's nothing happening. We ain't signed fuck all, Ray. So don't worry, mate. We've just been talking for the last 3 hours about nothing. So I appreciate you coming on, man, and appreciate you taking the time as always, buddy.
Cheers, Ray.
Take care, man.
Cheers, mate. Bye,
bye, Ray.
Oh, Dan.
Go on, Dan. What are you going to say?
He's jumped off there to field calls from Everton, I think.
Yeah. I think he's
been a
put a bid in for him.
I tell you what, man, I'm following a few Everton accounts, and I mean,
meltdown.
Meltdown. It's not like your typical meltdown. It is exploding. It is exploding.
Funny. It's funny, you've got these because obviously I follow quite a few Newcastle accounts as well. So my Twitter feed is full of people going, "Yay, we're going to Wembley," and he always, fucking came right, and it's quite funny. It's literally almost like one after the other. It's really quite funny. But it's a meltdown, and I know we have a meltdown because we haven't signed anyone. But
obviously, their one's interesting because it's not. They all say, "Look, nothing Dyche can do. He's been shafted. We need to back him." But like they're outside the training ground now, like 10:30 at night. Massive banners, sack.
I'm going to put the
get rid of the owners.
I'm going to put the picture up of them surrounding Dyche's car, for God's sake. Already, poor fucker.
He was out there signing autographs. I think they sort of back in. There's nothing he could do about it.
Nah.
I said the amount of players that have turned them down today. because they left it too late. All
They
they've
left
done is
everything
weaken
too late.
themselves. And
Yeah.
this is what they're saying. They argued over, they could have actually got more money in the summer for Gordon than they got now if they signed with Chelsea in the summer. They basically got 10 million less, and they've done it the day before the window shuts. They had today with 40 million burning a hole in their pocket. Like, we need to get someone in. And it looks like they've got no one.
Oh, it's just it's a really really strange one, Everton, because you thought with 45 million quid in their pocket, but then it's and that was the issue when with Deitch, when people were talking about West Ham, if they swap Moyes for Deitch, will he have the pulling power? It doesn't seem that anyone wants to come to Everton, and Everton are, they're a club which is built on tradition, they're an old, and there's a moving to a new stadium and stuff, and but it's, and I generally think the toxicity of their fan base in the last, well, they were like, was it 2 weeks ago? They were all outside and they were videoing like Jeremina and Anthony Gordon. They wouldn't stop the cars going through, and that was a couple of weeks ago.
Game?
Yeah, I think it was a Southampton game, and it's and players look at things like that. And as we said, we had Matt Jarvis on the beginning of the show, wasn't it? And he said that he would follow social media quite a bit, to sort of. And nowadays, a player, if someone's going to sign, to say, Conor Gallagher, he would have looked at Twitter and seen the Everton. Like, well, fuck that, I'm not going there.
Or even Oliver Giroud, who's just
exactly.
Don't forget though that as well as the fact that the fans want the ball out because of this lack of spending and backing, and not necessarily lack of spending, the way they've wasted money, because they've spent 600 million in the last 6 years, but they've got nothing to show for it, right?
Mm.
But then there was that thing at the Southampton game where the owners, none of the board of directors of the owner turned up, and then they said, "Oh, we got told by the police not to turn up for our own safety."
Yeah.
But then they were like, "But nothing happened. There was no inquiry, no investigation. Nothing was said publicly. You've just come out and said this with no proof whatsoever, right? Ostracising the entire, you just tarnished that brush, shall I say, over the entire Everton fan base. You've made it unsafe for us to go to our own home ground." But then the following week, they rocked up at the London Stadium.
Yeah, but they work has been
and sat there with smiles on their faces
because Bill lived around the corner, and what Mashiri hadn't even been to any games for God knows how long, and he turns up to the West Ham one. Cushy one because he knows
they all sat there in the director's box with all smiles on their face. Their team lost 2-0, and you think, why are the fans annoyed? Anyway, a more funny story should we add on that we were talking about Matt Doherty, weren't we, earlier? How Tottenham released him. You know why Tottenham released him? Because they were about to break FIFA's rules for loaning players, and they didn't realise. And he was about to sign the deal, and then one of the legal teams turned around and went, "You can't do that. You obviously, a couple of years back, I think Chelsea, there was a point Chelsea had like 15, 20 players out on loan every year. They just buy the good players, loan them out. To get rid of it, FIFA put a limit of 8 players you can have out on loan.
Yeah.
Tottenham have got 8 players out on loan, so they can't loan anyone else. So he's about to sign this deal, and they were like, "No, you can't do that. You're going to break FIFA loan rules." So they basically crap their pants and just cancelled his contract. It's like, yeah, just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
The answer, Nick, Neil Rather, is no.
No one at the moment.
But you've missed Matty Jarvis. You've missed Ray Stewart, John T. Coleman from Football London. You've missed a few, and you signed John Radford from Arsenal. That's an old reference there to some fans of a certain generation. But yeah, John Radford signed from Arsenal.
West Ham Network loaned me from Call of Duty for the evening. That was about it.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to.
Enzo.
I'm trying to work out if it's a real account or not.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
What's that?
Sorry, mate.
Go on. Is Matt doing his breaking news again?
No, I don't want to get sucked into it, so I'm going to say no.
Do not. Is it go on, and I'll tell you if it's wrong, because there's one guy in there.
Go on.
Got it, Matt.
No, I've put it in the thing.
Okay.
I think this is a
no. Yeah, it's a fake account.
Yeah, I was
straight
like,
away.
what?
I know it is. Yeah, it's a fake account straight away. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, what?
He's that fake account slagged me off once. So yeah, definite fake account.
Oh, definitely fake account. Yeah.
Yeah, slagged me right off.
as things stand, I just want to kind of take a very brief look at. It's more about players, the squad we've got, but the potential for players coming back and what a difference that can do for our team. Obviously, we've got fit players: Ben Johnson, Creswell, Sufal, Ogbok, Agerd, and Palmieri. Having Kurt Zuma come back will obviously be a big deal for us. But we've got eight players there, one injured. Is that enough? Is that enough for our season?
No,
I know we're all talking about bringing another centre half in, but he's mentioned Kira though as a versatile player. He's not going to give up on that centre back position with him.
Well, I mean, if you look at the back three, so yeah, in terms of the right hand side of that back three, Kira can play there. Ben Johnson has played there as well this season, and so there is options there. And then you've got again on the left hand side, and you've got Zuma or Ogbonna in the middle. Or you put Ogbonna in and Zuma out. But Oggy's not going to last the season. I don't think so. And then
especially not twice a week.
No, exactly. Yeah, and we're fortunate at the moment. We're still playing one game a week. That's going to change in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully.
Yeah, but hold on a second. On that with Oggy, I mean, I didn't even think he'd be back. Let alone
me neither.
Doing what he's doing. So,
but he ain't going to play 2 games a week. He ain't. And so, then you're looking at, okay, well then someone like Cresswell comes on the left of that back three and then again moves into the middle. There is options there, but it's not options that we're particularly, it's not our best. If we had brought in a Michael Keane, that would have looked a lot better. I'd be more confident in that because Ashby hasn't really featured. But as I said, Dawson's played roughly 50% of the games this season. And he's not going to be there anymore now. And so, it's something which we've said in the chat. We said before, we've known about this since the summer, so we could have planned this for some sort of replacement, knowing it's put the feelers out, get something lined up, but it hasn't happened, and I don't understand why. No doubt on Friday at when we have the press conference, they'll be asking questions about that, and we'll get a steer from Jonty in terms of Moyes' response, because obviously we partner with Football London on the press conference, so we'll be able to get a steer on that. But for the fan base, they want to know why we haven't brought in another defender. Because to me, that's the glare. Striker we can make do with, because as you said, we've got Schumacher coming back, Ings is coming back. Then we'll have 3 strikers.
Yeah, but the one area we haven't struggled this season is defensively.
Yes, true.
That's the one area
who's played half of those games. I see, and Dawson's played half of those games.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's what I mean.
Equally though, having those 8 players available, I mean, it might force the hand of a younger player. But I mean, if we play 3 at the back, you've got Ben Johnson, Creswell that can come in at either side of that central defence. Tilo Kira as well. I mean, he might just be going, do you know what? I feel like I've got enough there until times are necessary.
The thing is, you're right.
I want to look at the midfielders though. Obviously, you've got and I think when I look at this, apart taking Connor Coventry out of the equation, the one player that I am excited to have back is Max Corney. I mean, he was really influential at the start of the season. He was involved, I think, up until recently, or if not, still is our highest assist throughout all competitions. And he was winning penalties and etc. And he's a sort of player that bridges the gap. But the rest of the players there, I mean, obviously there's a couple more to add to it, Said Ben Rama and Jared Bowen, but there's plenty of attacking options there, really, isn't there? And if you bring Max Corney into the mix, that's like a new signing in itself, isn't it?
Compared to this season, yes, it is. It is, isn't it? Because as you said, he's hardly featured. He gets injured. He's had this mystery illness, which his specialist has only seen for once in 25 years. He came back from France, so he's been away for the last 4 weeks on Monday, and he's being assessed. We don't know how that assessment's gone, but it's you're right. It will be like a new signing, and it will give us. We've always. In the attacking sense, I don't think we've been particularly well balanced. We do tend to have Bowen out on the right hand side, who hugs that touchline and then cuts in. On the left hand side, Ben Rama drifts in, Emerson now gives you a little bit of width on the left-hand side. Someone like Cornet on the left-hand side does give you a little bit on each side now. But again, it's going to take him a few weeks to get up to match fitness. Yes, he's recovered from his injury, but he's still got to be match fit. And he's one of those players, by all accounts, who won't play if he's not 100% fit. That's his thing. And so, how long does that take for him to get fit again? It's almost like he's doing a pre-season now. And so, where he could have done it during the World Cup, but no. I think we'll have to see what happens, when he comes back, and as you said, I think I just feel we are a couple of injuries away from being very light defensively. Happened last year as well. We went into the season with 4 centre backs, and then we were struggling towards the end.
But we relied heavily on outscoring whatever we conceded, where this year we've not done that. But the difference from last year to this year, and the difference from this year to last year, is that when you went down into the West Ham squad first team, you only had you actually had 3 players there. They always included Bowen and Benrahma. But what you have now is your real centre forwards. Look at these 3. I mean, Antonio, Ings, and Scamacca, when fit, and they are on their way back to being fit. I mean, you've got a troublesome trio there.
You do, and to be honest, when this closes, obviously we do have a little bit left over for time for players to leave on loan. Technically, Okaflex is still around. I know we're scrabbling, but he's still around, and that could be another option. He's been on the bench a couple of times. And so, obviously we bought Luis Al in, he'll, I imagine he'll eventually be fast tracked in because we bought him. And if worse comes to worse, there are kids there, but it's nice to have like two recognised strikers. I never see Antonio as a recognised forward, by trade.
But you could use him on the wing now, possibly.
You can do, yeah. And I mean, he drifts out onto the wing all the fucking time anyway. You might as well just leave him there, innit?
It gives you pace, which is something we're lacking. It might take 3 weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks to get Cornet fit.
Yeah.
But once you get Cornet fit, even if you started with a Benrahma and a Bowen on the wings, you could do that. And then if you're half an hour to go, you can bring on Antonio and Cornet. Or you could start one of them and bring one of them on. Like, you've got pace on the wing. This thing we lack. And Ant said yesterday, you've noticed that in this new formation, Antonio has actually spent a lot of time swapping with Bowen and going out on the wing. And Bowen's been running through the middle. Because as he probably does, as we said before, he probably naturally drifts out there because he is a winger.
And similarly, the person who's not in there is a guy who came on off the bench yesterday, and Barmer as well. So
and he didn't look bad.
Yeah, actually, Dan, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, I know we're talking a lot about youth players, etc., but let's jump on to Mbama. What was your thoughts on what you saw so far?
I think he's decent. He's decent. He should be playing in these cup games. I don't know if I'd throw him straight in to start against United, but he does need to get some starts. He's one of the ones that seems to be shining at the moment that could possibly make a breakthrough to the first team.
Yeah, he definitely shows a lot of promise. And you're right as well, Russ, when you say include Mbama, include Okaflex. I mean, for me personally, when I think of the Okaflex situation, I know you saw him, you were privy to more of his games because you were getting to see the West Ham at the stadium, etc. When no one else could get in there. But I think this is make or break 6 months for Okaflex, really. He's been recalled. He can't go back out on loan. He's at the age where he wants to make a career. So he'll be maybe expecting, but I think when we get to March, when we're back to Thursday, Sunday, albeit that could only happen for 2 games, and then we're back to just normal fixtures again. But if you include the FA Cup into the mix, there's an opportunity there for him to try and get something or show what he's capable of doing on the park. So it's going to be
Yeah, there is. I mean, as I said, I know certain players you have affiliations, certain young players you have affiliations with, and for me, Okaflex is one of those guys. I just think he excites me in the same way that I used to like that little Dan Kemp. I thought he was a little whippet. He's gone somewhere else as well. I think he was because he's at MK Dons. I think he's going to somewhere. whoever Keith Curl's manager of, I think he's going there. But and you do follow these players around, so these names, as you said, whether it's Dan Potts or obviously anyone watched the Wrexham game, Lee obviously was playing for them.
Yeah.
And you do sort of have, you do keep an eye out for these players, and it'd be nice. It would be nice to have one breakthrough, just be in and around the first team, not necessarily be a starter yet, but and it can be Mbama. As I said, all it takes is, Antonio Touchwood hasn't had a serious injury this season, hasn't it? Even last season.
That's it.
He's done it now.
Well, it means when Mbama gets Divine will get start. We'll get a game, so you never know.
No,
Bowie
plays up front.
Yeah, or we play 2 up front.
Play Souček up front. He'll finally get his wish and play Fellaini up front.
Just before, we've got 10 minutes to go before the transfer window closes, so it's been a long, old, hard shift. But before we do,
shot.
Yeah. Let's get on to Tommy Souček. Dan, one of our better players over the last couple of seasons, or maybe he started to dip his form last year, dipped his form in the early part of this year, but played in a more advanced role. You can't deny that he offers defences a lot of problems, can you?
No, he's the thing with him is he's great going forward and he's good going back. And where we've got Rice, who can play centre back or more defensive role, we're pushing him forward, which unfortunately for Souček means he's going back. He may get to go forward more now that we don't have Dawson, because we have the option of Dawson going forward scoring with his head. So hopefully Souček will then take over that role again. But at the minute, he doesn't have his place and he's not playing that well because of it.
Yeah,
he's so forward thinking, but he's got to keep tracking back.
Yeah, yep, absolutely.
It's not his fault, but he's not fitting in.
So who starts on? Obviously, this right. We assume we're not signing anyone before the end of the transfer window. So what's the? We'll do our predicted 11s, but obviously, I'm thinking centre back wise because that's the most pressing one for me. Obviously, for the last game, for the Derby game, we had Agard, Ogbonna, and Tilo Kira. Are they starting on Saturday?
Yeah.
It was Zuma. It was Zuma and Agard for the Everton game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they reckon he's a couple of weeks away, so I would say it was them 3.
Yeah, I think
it'll have to be in it. That's it.
I think it's the same. I think the only change from that back 5 that played yesterday is I reckon Soufal will come back in
instead of Johnson.
I am a little bit unsure about that one, and I know that's the Dave. I would be really disappointed if David Moyes did that, because that's David Moyes of about 4 weeks ago, and he's starting to show signs of changing it up a little bit and resting players when we are now expecting them to be rested, i.e. Tommy Souček or whatever, or playing him in a more advanced role, all that sort of stuff. I love Soufal, and I think he's actually done all right the last couple of games-ish. It's just whether or not you change what happened in the last game, like the Everton game, or you change what happened in the Derby game. But you can't deny, and I get that. What is the difference, would you say, the way that Everton were playing in terms of how free fall they were in comparison to how upward Derby are playing? What's the difference? Does that mean that Everton are playing at the level of middle championship and Derby are playing level of middle championship? I'm just trying to do that comparison. So what does Ben Johnson offer West Ham that Soufal doesn't? Well, he pushes us forward and keeps us away from the danger. But he keeps us away from the danger area, where Soufal, albeit, listen, I'm all right with him. But he doesn't necessarily always keep us away from that area. And we said last night, having Ben Johnson on one side and Palmieri on the other side, with Agard, gives you the much needed pace. And we constantly, as fans, talk about pace, starting from building from the back. And sometimes that pace is what you desperately need. I genuinely think Johnson comes in for harsh criticism too much from fans. I really do. I've seen another tweet tonight about him, like as if like when he gets the ball he panics. I don't see that. I think you've got a player that has covered so many different positions in his West Ham career. But this season alone, right back at the start, I'm sure he played right back of a 4, the right side of a centre back 3. I'm sure he played left back. I'm sure he played right wing back at the start of this season. So it was inconsistent, a little bit like Tilo Kira as well. So we've not had that chance to build that consistency that we're looking for. Fucking hell, man. Everton was the first time we saw Zuma and Agerd start. And then look what happened. Zuma got injured. Like, do you know what I mean? Now we're not going to see it for a couple of weeks. But what we're at least getting is a little bit of consistency with someone like Agerd who can bring the best out in players like Ogbonna, who's obviously getting better like a fine wine, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that consistency, whether it be Sufal or Johnson, like for me, we need to transition back to Johnson. That's what we need to do, because West Ham are doing the 5 means you want to progress the ball. That's what it means. Like you're not putting wing backs on to keep the ball in your own half. And Sufal used to be able to do it, but he can't do it as good as what Ben Johnson can. So that's where I would go.
It's bittersweet. It's experience versus fitness.
Yeah,
it is. Don't get me wrong. Sufal's, I think, he's a great footballer. He's great what he does. But if it wasn't for Bowen being so fast paced in front of him, that there'd be a massive gap between them because he wouldn't be able to keep up. Bowen seems to be dropped deeper back, so he can take over and they can lay each other off, and then Bowen can just fly forward. And so
I
does
agree
well
with that in a back 4. But I think because you've got the back 3 and you've got Kira playing behind him, you've got that little bit of extra cover for Sufal. So say if Sufal does go tight to who's playing at the moment, Almiron maybe. If it does go tight to him and he does get turned, you've still got the cushion of someone else behind him. And I think it depends what you want to do. It depends, you know what? It would not surprise me if Moyes did start Johnson, right? Because I've always said I think it depends on the way you want to set up. I think Sufal is the more attacking of the two, and Johnson's probably the more defensive of the two. Because Johnson started out as a centre back, so his thing was always defend first, attack second.
Yeah.
So if we go to Newcastle, when we're probably going to go, well, they're in the top 4. We need to be typical David Moyes, deep counter-attacking. He may go Johnson.
When everyone's fit, right? When everyone's fit, what would be your starting 11?
No, doesn't work like that.
All right, so formation.
Through the
formation.
Like with Newcastle, because they're doing so well this season, I would choose the experience.
Yeah.
All right, so pick formation. What formation are we playing for this ideal 11?
You pick your formation. What you want to do, Matt? We've got 3 minutes until the end of the transfer window. I'm just thinking of something for everyone to say when everyone's fit. Right. So you pick what you want. What would you do?
All right. So we got Areola.
Yeah.
Fab's gone. For the because the players we've got, I'm gonna have to go to the back 5.
Hang on. Wait. I'll tell you what. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna. We'll do it. Let's do it. We've got to do something for a couple of minutes before we.
We've still got that Joe Hart glove to give away.
Oh yeah, they got the Joe Hart glove. Yeah. That was gone.
Do you know what? That shows how long I've had it though, because I was going to give it away when I got it straight away, but yeah.
Jesus, how long was that ago? Although we've got a Fabianski shirt we've got to give away as well. Yeah.
Ready?
I thought we gave that away. We're not giving that away.
Nah. Right, go on in. Okay.
Right, so this isn't going to be built in order because I'm trying to fit players in.
Okay, right,
so
go on in.
Areola in goal.
Yeah. What are you playing? What formation?
I'll probably have to go 5 at the back because the players we've got. Because the players I've got, I don't think will work in a back 4. If I go back 4, it would be Kira at right back.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll go for back 4 for now, right? Kira.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Zuma.
Yeah.
Aguerd.
Yeah.
Emerson.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Rice in front of the back 2.
Yeah.
either side, obviously like slightly forward, either side of Rice, I'd have Paqueta and Fornals.
Oh, hello. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I'd have Skamaka down the middle. And then this is my problem. I would play Bowen on the right hand side.
Yeah.
And this is where I probably get shot. For me, that left hand spot would belong to Cornet.
That ain't do you know what? When you look at our squad, if that team turned up, that ain't a bad side.
Why would you get shot for that?
Well, because Ben Rama, everyone loves Ben Rama.
Yeah, well, not that he's actually probably. I think he's joined. Is he second top scorer?
But you've got options here though with this team. You've got options. So Fornals could come out, Ben Rama could go in that position. Cornet can play as a second striker. Paqueta can drop further deeper. Rice can push further forwards.
If I went 5 at the back, I would lose Fornals.
So if you went 5 at the back, you'd lose Fornals. Yeah, he's gone.
Rice and Paqueta would obviously then put up alongside each other as a midfield two.
Yeah.
Zuma and Kira would both switch, tuck in the two of them.
Yeah.
And
ladies and gentlemen, sorry, the transfer window has closed.
Woo! And I would probably play Soufal on the right hand side.
So you move Kira into there, and then Soufal would go right hand side.
Yeah.
Where is Soufal? There he is.
Sorry, man.
So you put him there and then there.
Or even play Kira as the right wing back and bring Oggy in the middle. If you're not happy with Soufal.
I think I still think there's a role for this man. I still think there's a role for Kira. I really do. I know he's had a really
if you could
solid time.
If you could actually get Zuma fit long enough, that back four with like Rice, Paqueta, and Fornals in the middle, and then that front three, that would be my front three. Because then you've still got options of Ben Rama and Antonio and Danny Ings.
I'd love.
So you've got a second front three.
I'd love to see that little triangle. That little triangle of Emerson, Cornet, and Paqueta. Just the pace of Cornet and the overlapping of Emerson. He does it so well. I just think there's a
And then we get to that thing we saw right at the start of the season, which was the link up between Cornet and Skamaka. Cornet putting it on play for him. He's done a couple of times, and then it was just like, no.
That's good.
Like you said, when you look at it like that, like both them two teams, you're like, they're decent Premier League teams.
But
we've never had that team fit. We've never had.
That's the trouble. Fit. Yeah, that's the thing. That whole team, is built on a really dodgy foundation of players who get injured quite a lot, like Azuma.
Like you said, like it's the people that don't understand West Ham. Like Cornet played almost every single game for Burnley last year, and then he comes up with is it a groin or a hamstring injury or something? That
we don't know.
The guy's only seen once in 25 years.
Yeah.
Right? We bought a 35 million pound centre back that we built a whole defence around, and he injured his Achilles, was it? Ankle, something like that? In a pre-season game at Rangers, missed half the season. We finally get him back so he can play in our team alongside the new left wing back we bought to play alongside him and Zuma. We get one game and Zuma gets injured. We had the start of the season when we had our turnaround earlier in the season. Was it September? We had a really good run, and you had Paqueta and Skamaka finally linking up, and then I think Paqueta got injured for a bit, and then by the time he come back, Skamaka got injured. Cornet has then got like a 2-week injury and hasn't played in 4 or 5 months. It's just we've never had any sort of semblance of back. You think that over the last couple of years, the one thing we could say with almost certainty was you knew that there was 14 or 15 players that would play every week, and they were like the starting 11. You could rotate your 3 or 4 players.
Yeah.
Now Moyes doesn't know. We've got so many options now. Moyes doesn't know what his starting 11 is. But even if he did, no one's ever fit enough long enough to actually play what his starting 11 would be.
Shelby has now signed for Forest.
Yeah, seen that.
I'm getting it out there. I was hoping I'd get it before you, and you've done that stupid sound effect.
I know they've signed Keylor Navas. So that's another 2 signings.
Yeah, but they needed a goalkeeper, didn't they? Because Henderson was out and what's that?
Yeah, but he's not supposed to be out for long. But that means they've signed 28 players this season. 28 this season. You can only have a team of 25. For saying that, they have sent someone out. Toffolo? It was like a left back they bought. He's gone back to the Championships. That's one less. That's one space. So what are they? Are they dropping? Is Wayne Hennessy been ditched already? Like he stepped up for Dean Henderson for 3 games. Like, yeah, you've been binned off already. We brought in
You've done your time. You've done your time.
They're going to ship him back off to the Championship somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, so you got poor old Everton can't get one player through the door.
Got 27, yeah.
And they've done 28 in 6 months.
Oh well.
God,
As I said,
Everton are releasing all the video clips of Farid Mosri, their owner, this month.
I'm getting excited then.
Saying that we'll get one. We need a striker. We'll get one.
I thought you were saying they were releasing all the clips of what's his name that just went to Tottenham. Because they've got all those clips, haven't they? Because he's done it all. He's done all the media work.
Dan Juma. Yeah. The fans. No, the fans are releasing.
I'd love to see all that stuff because obviously it doesn't happen very often. It happened to Flynn Downs, didn't it, at Crystal Palace?
Us as fans, right? We was banging about these signings, and we always say, and I've said it as well. Like you're like Moyes an idiot. What's he doing? I probably said it in the group chat in the summer when he didn't want Dan Juma, and it was like, oh no, he's what was it? He hasn't got the right character for it.
Yeah.
And then you see this, and it was like he was ringing up on the weekend. He had his medical at Everton, and he was going out of his way to ring up TalkSport and Sky Sports and do interviews off the cuff for them, saying, "I can't wait to play for Everton. I can't wait to put the shirt on for these fans. The club shouldn't be here. I've come ready to fight to get them out of this issue." And then he just didn't sign the registration document and went off to Tottenham. Which I get because Tottenham are still Champions League.
Yeah.
But he'd done all the medical, he'd done all the media work, he'd done the photo in the shirt, did all this extra promo stuff to all the Everton fans saying, no, I'm here for the fight, I'm going to do this, save you all. And then Tuesday morning, when he's supposed to turn up for training, he just didn't turn up and he just didn't sign the FA registration form. That he needed his signature on it and that was it.
Yeah.
And then Everton find out via Sky Sports, he's in a car on the way down to Tottenham.
But he's such a Tottenham player though, isn't he? Him,
and then he went
Charlison, nasty of edge, all like nasty, and actually sometimes, it's just a recipe for disaster. I'd love
to should release that. That's what I want to see. All that stuff.
Yeah, because obviously, but also he did ask whether David Moyes was going to take over the Everton job, wasn't he? And they couldn't give him assurances, and that's another reason why.
And he thought Sean Dyche was worse. We're bringing Sean Dyche up.
Well, obviously he didn't know that West Ham. Obviously he had that problem with Moyes before. Everton are the only club in the Premier League who haven't signed a single player this window rather. So
that is
mental.
I mean, they think he's a miracle worker, Sean Dyche.
Should we go, Beb?
Yeah. Yes. Let's not do what Leeds did a couple of years back when they told their fans don't go to bed and they kept them up for another hour to announce they sold 2 academy players and they said you can go to bed now.
Oh well.
Although, like we said, what is going on with Longjello? Like, will we find out tomorrow?
According to
in theory, he's on loan there for the season anyway, isn't he? So they could rightly do it tomorrow and just go, we've agreed a transfer for the summer. So when the day his loan deal expires, the next day he's a contracted Birmingham City player.
Maybe.
In theory.
Other things to be excited about. Oh wait, go for it, Russ.
No, but say Steinberg said that it looked like it was going to be announced like after that, but we don't know, do we? They got the sheet, haven't they? As long as they put the sheet in by 11, they've got another hour to process it. But I mean, what's the point in rushing it through now?
Which Chelsea now doing for the Fernandes deal?
The Fernandes deal.
The
deal they put in the deal sheet 4 minutes before.
It has to be so far 11. Along, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but they've everything else has been agreed. Everything else was agreed like it was yesterday, really. But it was just the deal between Chelsea and Benfica. But yeah, the deal sheet apparently, according to Alex Cook from TalkSport, went in at 5 to 11. But there we go. Yes, Anton, you were saying. He
And
was
he's
saying.
frozen.
Oh, he's got to get the hamster wheel out, spin it around a bit to get his internet going again.
Because him and Ray Stewart are both
Crank
on
it.
the internet up there, so that's why.
Maybe they're sharing Wi-Fi.
That's what
Do you know
I
what?
think.
Do you know what it is actually? My
And you're on
computer
mute.
just can't deal with
And you're on mute.
Fuck me.
You're not.
I know I'm
You're
not.
not. You're not. You were saying
My computer can't deal with doing two things at once.
Well, just do one thing. Talk to us. Just talk to us. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this.
Go bed.
Okay, anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for 3 hours of absolute entertainment. Absolute entertainment. But we'll be back tomorrow to I don't know, think something to talk about tomorrow. I have to think about it. We'll think something to talk about tomorrow. We always do, West Ham.
There's plenty.
Long
to talk
Jello.
about.
That's what you can talk about tomorrow. Whatever
Well,
happens.
let's start getting ready for the Newcastle game. Start getting ready for the Newcastle game, innit? Something to look forward to. And as I said, next week we'll have Laurent Courtois on. There we go. How exciting for you. Doing a Miami's 11. I think he made like 5 appearances for us, but anyway, doesn't matter. We'll get him on. Anyway,
if you've just joined us before you go, you've missed Matt Jarvis, you've missed Ray Stewart, you've missed Jonty Coleman, you've not missed Dan Love, who's beside me right there. You've missed Dan Fandangos, you've missed young Jakey boy from West Ham Unofficial. So we've had a whole host of people on tonight. So thank you very much for joining us.
Been brilliant.
I'll let you close it off, Rusty boy.
All right then, guys. Anyway, if you're new and say give it a like, give it a comment, give it a comment, give it a like, give it a share, all that type of stuff. Good stuff. Maybe become a channel member. We had a new channel member during the stream. Liverpool.
Michael.
His name was Michael Liverpool. So thank you. He'll be entered into our February draw for some signed memorabilia. I'll pick off my shelf. And we also had well done to Trini and Rich Mushroom Man, who both won signed notebooks. If you could email us, we can get them sent out to you. Anyway, take care and stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Come on, you Irons. Love you. Bye.
Thank you.